You think I should do like a news anchor intro since our episode, our gaming is our gaming news?
Hell yeah, let's do it. Like old school.
Well, you got to do the music.
Oh
Yeah, you could even just do like a
no!
da 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 da.
Wait, no.
You got to do
I
it.
don't even know what it was like. Wait, what was it?
Like you can just like a real quick splash, like a do 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 do.
Da-da-da-da-da.
Hey guys, this is Gail Kim from Impact Wrestling, and you are listening to the 8-Bit Suplex podcast.
Good evening, and welcome to tonight's edition of the 8-Bit Suplex on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. With you now, I am Josh McLaughlin, and my co-anchor tonight and most nights, Sandy Caveria. Sandy, how are you this lovely Thursday evening on October 22nd, 2020?
Hello, Josh. Sandy here, and our audience, thank you so much for joining us today. We have a very new special edition of the news today. Hopefully, you guys will be able to follow along. We have some very interesting groundbreaking news for you, as well as an overview of the previous Impact episode. Hope you guys will be with us.
Yes, and
How did
real
I do?
quick, that was pretty great. The camera's rolling, so we'll just, you know what, Sandy, just leave it in. We're just gonna leave it in. But it was, yeah, thanks everyone for tuning back in for another episode of the 8-Bit Suplex on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. We do have a lot to get to tonight. We have it's kind of I wouldn't say dead period for gaming. There's not a lot of new stuff coming out right now as we're waiting for the next console releases. But we do have some cool news items that are coming your way after we talk a little bit about Impact Wrestling. Of course, it is Impact Wrestling's biggest week of the year, Sandy. We had our go home show for Bound for Glory, and we had Talking Shop Full Cake. Did you get a chance to watch that, Sandy?
Oh, I did not. You're going to have to catch us up on that.
Well, I definitely would if I had watched it, but I did not either. I did not.
Oh, no. You're going to put me on the spot like that? Like, oh, you can handle that segment.
Yeah, right, exactly. No, I ran out of time. Rats, darn. How could I miss such
Darn.
an amazing spectacle of free television that was the Good Brothers Taco Shop Full Cake? We'll get over it, I'm sure, by the end of this episode. But yeah, we
Cheers.
have our preview, of course, for Bound for Glory. We have our full card shaped up now, ready to go. I'm excited for it. What's funny, Sandy, I talked about with my kids that we might be having some people over, and they said, "Well, who's coming over?" And I said, probably Miss Sandy's gonna come over with Logan, and Uncle Zach's gonna come over. Uncle Zach didn't matter as soon as I said Miss Sandy's coming over, and Nolan immediately said, "How many days?" So since Sunday, he's been counting down the days. He'll wake up and go, "Daddy, 4 more days until Miss Sandy comes over." Every
Gosh,
single
my God.
day.
That is so cute. I love your kids. I can't wait to see them.
I know, and we'll have to make sure that we have some cookies ready to go too, and that they don't eat all of them first, for more reasons than one.
Fight.
More reasons than one, because they will be bouncing off the walls because Colleen's cookies don't pull the punch whatsoever on the sweet end. But so, like I said, huge week of Impact Wrestling. Sandy, what did you think of the go home show here?
Huge. Well, the go home show itself, it was very promo heavy, not a
Yeah,
lot of action. We pretty much have had the card built out for what seems like a few weeks already.
yeah,
We pretty much knew in concrete what the matches were going to be last week. So this is kind of like a one last hurrah, get those promos in, get those, that back and forth in. like I said, not very promo heavy, very video package heavy, and a lot of the action that we are seeing is action that we've seen for the previous weeks as we build up to Bountiful Glory. So it's not my favorite episode in the world. Like I said, to me, it felt like it dragged a little bit, but just like I said, it's just because we already know the destination. We're ready. Let's get there. Saturday, let's go.
Right. Yeah. No, I share that sentiment. And I can't imagine the people that watched the Go Home show for Impact and then kept it on Access TV and watched Full Keg immediately following. That just seems like just so much to watch
Overkill.
of what is not a whole lot, like you said, of action leading into Bound for Glory. We did have a stipulation handed out for Bound for Glory, and that's what we'll touch on first here. If you recall from last week, we had our 5-on-5 10-man tag team match to determine who would face off in the 5-way match this week to see who would enter the Call Your Shot Gauntlet match at number 20 and who would enter at number 1. And of course, we have that 5-way, which was the winning team from last week of Heath, Cousin Jake, Hernandez, Alicia, and Rhino. Sandy, why don't you take us through this opening match here? Because I only have 2 real notes, and I'm hoping you have a little bit more to say about it, but I don't know that you do because it wasn't a very long match.
It really wasn't. It was very slow to start. This kind of felt a little convoluted. It was just kind of like, all right, it was, everyone knows their spots and what they're supposed to do. It didn't feel very organic.
Right.
I guess is what the main thing that I can say about it. But we have Alicia, Edwards. She comes in hot, shoving all of the men, saying, "Do you take me seriously? You don't take me seriously." So shoving them, right?
Yep.
Every single one of them. And lastly, she gets in Hernandez's face and just shoves him. He doesn't even move. He has this shit-eating grin on his face, and he just grabs her, picks her up, and places her on top of the turnbuckle. Me, as a woman, would have been so pissed. I would have immediately just been like, for not taking her seriously. But
Right.
she just kind of sat there and was kind of like pouty, like, nobody takes me seriously. So it was cute, her cute little face there. She stayed on top of the turnbuckle, and then when somebody, I forget who, I think it was Heath who made it to that turnbuckle.
Right. Yeah, it was Heath.
And she just, and then she goes in for a rear naked choke, so she's just on his back. So the spots with Alicia, they were there, and I feel like they did good, putting her in a position where, hey, it's a small female against these other 4 dudes. And I feel like the spots that they put her in made sense to how we got to the finish, which was he accidentally took a gore from Rhino at the end. And Hernandez, oh my gosh, she ate that. Hernandez then schoolboys Rhino, and he will be the number 20th entrant in the Call Your Shot Gauntlet, while Rhino enters on number 1, which, as you recall, viewers, the stipulation with Heath and Rhino here is that if neither of them win, Rhino loses his Impact contract. On the other hand, if either of them wins, Heath gets a contract with Impact. So very interesting. Now we have Rhino in at number 1. If he's out, which is a high probability, then Heath needs to do the work.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where they stick Heath in that lineup now, right? Because we know for sure, like you said, Rhino's number 1 because of the stipulation. And I don't know how long the Call Your Shot Gauntlet match is going to go. But Rhino can't work more than a 10-minute match. So I can't imagine that he's going to be in there for the long haul. And you know what? We may even see some kind of heel tendency out of Heath where Heath might take the chance to eliminate Rhino if he has the opportunity. So we have no idea what's going to happen. It'll be interesting to see. But yeah, like you said, Alicia was kind of the one that all the spots were placed around. And it was kind of designed to make her take bumps but not hurt her. Although I will say that gore was pretty hard. Rhino didn't pull any punches. And, Rhino obviously knows Alicia and Eddie, going way back. So for a very long time in Impact. So I'm sure he knew what she could take. And she definitely she wanted him to do it. Like she didn't, because if you want, I have a feeling, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but if you take a spear or a gore and you don't fully commit to it, you have a greater chance of getting hurt.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And you know what's so funny? So that always looks so devastating. I can't tell you how many times in practice someone's given me a spear and everyone literally stops the match like, Sandy, you okay? And everyone's so concerned because I'm the only girl there. Like, 99% of the time. And I just come up like, yeah, I'm good. I love taking the bump from a spear. I don't know what it is. Like the harder it is and the faster and the harder and the more contact, to me, makes it
Yeah.
easier for me to take my bump. So I love it. And even though it looks devastating, like you just got killed,
Yeah.
to me, it's not bad at all. I love it. So I think
Yeah.
she was good.
No, yeah, obviously we know Alicia's been in this game a long time. She's fine. And I thought it was funny too is what set up the gore was her smacking the taste out of Hernandez's mouth because he was going to get
Which
ready to
goes
do.
back to that very first.
I think it's his move. He calls it the border toss, where he picks you up and then just kind of chucks you. And he was going to
Oh
do that
gosh.
to Alicia, and cousin Jake comes to the rescue, and then he gets pulled out by Heath, and then she smacks the taste out of Hernandez's mouth with a pretty legit slap, I might add.
It was. Oh my
But it
gosh.
spun Hernandez around so that he saw Rhino coming for the gore, so he sidestepped it. And then, of course, obviously, everyone stops what they're doing except for Hernandez, worried about Alicia. And Hernandez gets his pin. And when they announced the stipulation and they gave us the tag match last week, and how little Hernandez did last week, I didn't expect him to be the number 20 entry here, but he is.
Me either. So he, to me, okay, don't know much about him. I love his look. If he was younger, maybe it would be a little bit, more intriguing what his character is, I guess, his background,
Right.
which I don't really know. Based on what we're watching here at Impact, without me going further into his career, I don't know much about him. But I can just tell from seeing him, I was like, okay, he can't be in there for a very long time, I don't think. We're keeping it kind of slow and I really don't know much about him. Like, what do you
Yeah.
think, Josh? I don't know. To me, he just didn't feel like. God, it's really hard for me to kind of put the
Yeah.
word on it.
Well, we saw him do a little bit of work. And when I say a little bit, I mean a little bit because this match didn't even go 5 minutes bell to bell. So so the amount of effort that he put forth, I think he did a good job kind of getting a little bit physical. I think he did a toss that was decent, but yeah, I mean, and look, when you do a gauntlet match like Impact does, where it's over the rope and then yada yada, um, that protects a lot of workers. I mean, why do you think that all the legends come out for the Royal Rumble, right? Because it's an
Of
easy way
course.
to you get lost in a sea of 15 guys, and all you gotta do is take one bump down to the bottom, really. Like, why did Hacksaw Jim Duggan come back when he was like 60 and couldn't walk? Because all he had to do was go over the top rope, and that was the end of his night, right?
Yep.
Bob Backlund did it. You know what I mean? I'm just saying Hernandez can hide in there at number 20 especially, um, and make an impact. No pun intended. Maybe get a couple eliminations and then just kind of go from there. But anyway, I mean we've talked about this match longer than it lasted, so I think we can move
I
on.
was just about to say. I'm like, wait a minute. We're really dissecting this like 5 minute nothing. Oh
Yeah,
my gosh.
we're really being marks right now, Sandy, about this. So I think we can move on. um,
Let's move it along.
yes, and I didn't take a whole lot of notes on the video packages and things. Um, a lot of the backstage stuff, just because I think we kind of made the conscious effort last week to not spend as much time on it. And then this week, I felt like there's really only maybe two things that I want to talk about from behind stage. And the first thing is what I believe we get in between this match and the next match was the Deonna Purrazzo vignette that we got with her kind of talking about, being the virtuosa and kind of setting up the match for her and Kylie Ray.
Oh, absolutely. Deonna absolutely killed it with her promo. I thought it was very well articulated. She, like you mentioned, she goes into what her character is, what the virtuosa actually means, what she's trying to do, saying that, hey, if you want to, the best women's wrestlers have always been in the Impact Knockouts division, and that's why she came here, and that's why she's the champion.
Right.
So oh man, and she kind of goes into how unstable Kylie is getting, how she says that she has all these values, but she completely snapped on Kimberly during that interview. She kind of let Kimberly and Deonna get into her head, and that kind of shows her instability. And of course, she's talking about how Kylie Ray, she's just over here, all smiles, all, hope and faith, but that doesn't get you anywhere. I thought it was excellent. Absolutely loved
Yeah.
it.
Really good promo work, and we'll touch on Kylie Ray's response to that in a little bit. But I did want to call that out. I don't think there was anything else backstage in between these two matches that is worth mentioning, unless you've got something that you want to point out.
No, so I think it's worth noting the Jimmy Jacobs interview with Moose, not because of the actual Moose interview, because Moose was just said he's just not happy. He just yells and
Right.
leaves like 20 seconds into it, if that. But then Jimmy Jacobs actually gets kidnapped by 3 guys wearing EC3 hoodies. So then we'll see the follow-up on that later on in the show. And that was interesting.
Right.
It's like, whoa, what the heck is happening now? So.
That was a little bit more of an interesting thing, and you're right. We will talk a little bit more about that later on. I did actually, I believe I wrote something down about that, just because it was a little bit different from what we've seen. But the next matchup is, well, it's a match that happened. We knew it was going to happen this week. It was teased last week, and it is Rosemary and Havoc, with the stipulation that if Rosemary were to win, Havoc would have to help her bring back from the undead realm Father John Mitchell to officiate Rosemary and Johnny Bravo's wedding. That's a real sentence I just said. It's a lot to digest. What's going on here?
We are just so completely baffled because we just started watching Impact regularly. Who knows what the hell happened before?
I don't have the time to go back necessarily and watch it either.
No.
But yeah, like I said, it happened. I didn't think it was a very good match. It only goes 3.5 minutes long. It's not really, it was only a matter of time. And I think it was 2 spears and Rosemary gets the win over Havoc. Rosemary, of course, normally does a different move as a finisher, but because of the size discrepancy, it's much safer route to go with the 2 spears.
Yeah, and like I said, very quick, straight to the point. It was there, part of that whole Wrestle House wedding segment with Rosemary and Johnny Bravo, which we'll see the wedding, the episode after Bountiful Glory, correct?
Yep, we'll see that next Tuesday.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. So we'll follow up on Father Mitchell then and how he comes back from the dead. I don't know what's happening.
Right, and if he does, I mean, who knows? So, yeah, and then of course we hear on commentary that Madison Rayne is not going to be attending the wedding because she wasn't going to anyways, but having Father John Mitchell back, she's definitely not going to attend.
Yep.
I can't blame her. I can't blame her. I'm not going to that wedding either, Sandy. Especially in these times, not worth the risk.
Oh, no. You're absolutely right.
So, but after this, we have the aforementioned Kylie Ray video. I'll let you share your thoughts first.
So I feel like Deonna was a little bit more impactful in her promo. I don't know if you agree or disagree. Kylie absolutely killed it too. She's kind of, it's that rebuttal against what Deonna was saying, and she said, hey, yeah, I did kind of snap and my emotions kind of got the best of me, but she doesn't want to just show people that she's a champion. She wants to be a champion. So when she wins the title, she wants to be the inspiration for a little girl that watches from home, or a little girl that could have been ringside and says, hey, she's cool, she's a new champion, I want to be just like her. And I feel like that's what's so lovable and attractable to Kylie Ray. It's right. That character of like, hey, she makes us believe, she gives us hope and faith, which Deonna just completely shit on hope and faith, but we still have the hope and faith for Kylie, damn it. I love her. Yeah,
no, for sure. So I thought, for me, this was a better promo than Deonna's because
it had more emotion.
Way more emotion. And I've, and you can attest to this, I've been pretty critical of Kylie's promo abilities.
She's improved a ton.
So much. This run with Deonna has just bumped her up even that much more. And the conviction with which she was saying things, the presence, the kind of unsettling quivering that she kind of did in her chair, like the tears welled up in her eyes, everything, it just felt like, it didn't feel like you were watching a wrestling character. You felt like you were watching someone literally relive the horrors of watching their best friend get their arm snapped in front of them, and how much that impacted them. And I loved it. If you missed this promo, both of them really, by both women, definitely make sure that you go out of your way before watching Bound for Glory to get that full feel going into that match. I'm sure if you watch the pre-show and Access, they'll probably show both. Um,
Mm.
but definitely, if you're not going to watch the pre-show and Access, I don't know if we're going to or not, just because finding Access is more difficult, and then switching from that to the Fight app, and yada yada. But definitely, check out those promo packages because they are pretty awesome.
Yeah, they absolutely nailed it. You know what? Now thinking back on it, you're reminding me of the emotion the raw emotion that she showed. And you're absolutely right. It wasn't Kylie Ray the wrestler. It was Kylie the person who has been put through all this and is just set up and is just ready to to put up a fight and have faith and hope that she's going to be the next champion. And she believes in herself now. And she's angry too, but she more than anything, she wants to be the champion, and she's going to do her best to be that. Deanna's worst kind of stuck to me more for some reason, but the emotion from Kylie did. It was weird. So
Yeah.
I love them both, but they
right.
kind of impacted me in different ways.
Yeah, they're both very good. I feel like Deanna's probably sticks with you because it is a little bit more polished. It is a little bit someone that's much more comfortable in front of the mic, right? She's used to, cutting promos and doing these different things. And Kylie's just always been Smiley Kylie, right? She just run out to the thing. She's got the Pokemon theme song blasting. She does her, hands under her chin and smiles, and then, Penguin slides into the ring, right? So, which every time I chuckle every time she does the Penguin slide into the ring. It just sticks.
Oh my gosh!
I think it's the funniest thing ever. But yeah, I from the start of this podcast, which we're only on episode 11, so just to go back a couple months ago to what Kylie Ray was putting out with promos, which were the very generic, word soup that you would see someone's like day one at NXT doing promo practice, to now cutting really raw emotional promo videos.
Night and day difference.
Night and day. So, kudos to her, kudos to Deanna. I think if we didn't have the world title match build up that we did, and we'll get into this later, I would think that match would be the main event. But it definitely should be the sub main event. And if it goes on any earlier, I think that's the wrong call. But I almost personally want it more as a main event than Eric Young and Rich Swann, but I think that's what's going to end the show. But that's part of our preview for Bound for Glory, so stick around for that. Anywho, you want to talk about that EC3 promo some, huh?
Yeah, so we go back to what's going on here with Jimmy Jacobs. He's actually taken on by now two guys. I don't know where the third guy went. To a shipping facility. I guess maybe it could have been EC3. He got taken to a shipping and receiving facility, we see. And out of nowhere, EC3 gets up on his face, sits down, and confronts him. I think it's really cool. EC3's face is all busted up from last week's confrontation with Moose. He got the hell beat out of him. His left eye is just a bruised up mess. EC3 has been so great in these videos and promos, even from before he started doing them in For Impact, when he was doing it just by himself after he got freed from the machine that is WWE.
Right.
The one thing I didn't understand, it's the same thing he's been telling us over and over about, being in charge of your narrative, controlling your own narrative, and he's kind of doing that in regards to Moose, and saying that he sees that change in Moose after all of this is happening. But what I didn't get, maybe I missed something. It's like, why is he saying all these things to Jimmy Jacobs though? Like at the very end, he finally addresses Moose, but like the entire time he's just kind of confronting Jimmy Jacobs, and I'm like, what the hell is this guy did to you?
Right. Yeah. It was kind of because I think we're seeing that EC3 is not as put together as he's supposed to be, right? Like he's acting like Moose is the crazy one, and it turns out maybe they both are, right? Because he is definitely laying into Jimmy Jacobs quite a bit. And then kudos to their makeup person, because that was a very believable black eye face.
It was.
On EC3, not Jimmy Jacobs. Can't touch that pretty face. But yeah, no, EC3. I mean, it's going to be strange to see what that match is. I still don't know what it's going to be. I mean, is it going to be shot the same way that all the Moose Chronicles have been shot, or is it going to be shot like, a wrestling match in the middle of the woods? Who knows?
Who the hell knows? I guess we'll see on Saturday, but
I
the
guess we
Moose
will.
Chronicles will come to an end because didn't EC3 make his Ring of Honor debut at
He
the taping?
he did, and I didn't get a chance to watch it. Now I know that this has been rumored for a while that EC3 was going to be showing up in ROH. I don't know what kind of relationship ROH has right now with Impact. I don't know what kind of contract situation EC3 is in. I know Deanna was just announced this week that she signed a long-term contract finally with Impact. This whole time she's been on
Oh,
a per date, deal. So take that with what you will about what you think is going to happen Saturday. But with EC3, and it seems like with Gallows and Anderson, probably with Deanna as well, there seems to be some flexibility for working other dates and other shows, as long as you're still showing up on Tuesday nights. It seems to be kind of the feel, because I mean the Rascals, Kylie, they've all been working, Warrior Wrestling or the Collective, different things like that, pretty frequently. So I don't
I
think,
just know it's always different with them when it comes to TV on
yeah,
air things compared to independent shows, sure. But
right.
when it comes to actually TV shows, that's where it kind of
Yeah,
gets tricky with the contracts and participation in
it
different
does.
promotions.
It does. And we'll see. I mean, it could be, some outs for working specifically with ROH because, like I said, we have no idea what ROH's situation is right now. Really, they came back
Mhm.
with the Pure tournament, which had some New Japan guys in it. ROH, of course, historically has worked with New Japan, but so has Impact. So, we'll see. Kind of, hey, listen, if they want to team up and have some wrestler sharing and, especially even if you include New Japan once, those borders are opening up. Listen, I'm all here for it. The more the
Hell
better.
yeah, me too.
So
Absolutely.
we'll move on from there and we will go into the next match, which unbelievably is the longest match of the night. And it felt like the longest match of the night at times, Sandy, and that's Sammy Callahan versus Eddie Edwards, um, which is a preview of match Saturday between Eddie Edwards and Ken Shamrock, which I did not know was happening until I watched this episode.
Really? I thought they announced it last week, or maybe I'm just making things up. I
Maybe
don't
they
know.
did. I don't know. It,
You
I hear
just
Ken
don't care
Shamrock.
that much.
I hear Ken Shamrock and my brain shuts off. I don't know. It's not my fault.
You have an aneurysm like instantly.
Yeah.
Oh no. I thought so Sammy Callahan, like I mentioned so many times before, Eddie Edwards, the dude is underrated. He can
He is.
go. He's solid. But to me, like he's just missing something and I see him and even though I can see and I know how great he is in the ring, I'm just like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't
I
know what it is about him.
I think both of those guys have a little bit of that right now, especially in this feud. This feud
Mm-hmm.
is not doing anybody any favors, really at all. And I know
We
like
don't know
Eddie,
what. Yeah, we don't know why this is happening.
right?
Really.
And to figure out why it's happening, we'll have to see Ken Shamrock win a match over Eddie Edwards, who was literally just the world champion, which I don't know.
Oh
That doesn't feel right to me, but we'll get into that later.
no,
But this match, and I actually wrote down, Sammy Callahan, good wrestler, bad character. Um,
he
his
struggled with that like his whole career. I feel.
he is someone that can work. He can move around that ring very well for a man his size. Um, he does. He had like an exploder style throw that was pretty great. He had the suplex onto the ramp to Eddie Edwards. Really good stuff. And then the whole time he's screaming thumbs up, thumbs down. And then at the end of the match, he clicks a button on his smartphone, turns off the lights, lights turn back on, and there's Ken Shamrock to beat up Eddie Edwards. And it just, I just feel like he buries himself with his own bad gimmick.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm being a little critical on the look of a wrestler, but that's a big thing for wrestlers is the way you look, the way you present yourself. Sammy Callahan just does not have a very like is appetizing the best word? Maybe not. Maybe like he doesn't have like, and I don't want to say attractive either because you can be ugly and be a wrestler. There's
Right.
just something about his look that just doesn't attract you to be like, man, that's my guy. And
I
even
feel
in
like,
NXT, even
yeah,
wherever he's wrestled.
I feel like when you look at professional wrestling in 2020, right, there's room for people of all different types of looks, right? More than ever
Absolutely.
before. We have, uh, you know,
Definitely more than like the 80s and
way
90s.
way more, right? It's not all just big buff dudes.
Hmm.
We have, some people are heavier, some people are smaller, some people are taller, some people are shorter. We have transgender wrestling, which was something that never happened before. We
So much
have
more inclusive.
intergender. We have, all kinds of different wrestling, and really, wrestling is more for everyone than ever. But I think with that, it comes with a little bit more of a pressure on yourself to make your character presentable even more. And I feel like that kind of just, you know, take a look at Sammy Callahan, who's a heavier set guy, wears a shirt, but it's like a tactical vest zipped all the way up to his chin, and it looks terrible.
Yeah,
And then you take Kevin
so bad.
Owens. Kevin Owens is bigger than Sammy Callahan as far as his gut goes, but he wears his muscle shirt, he wears his gym shorts, and then he still does his good stuff, but he's presentable. And he comes across, you can see his face. 90% of the time, you can't see Sammy Callahan's face because that vest is either zipped up too much or he's got his hat pulled all the way over his eyes. You got to be able to see
And
the
then
face. You got to connect.
his hair,
You got to
man,
connect with. You got to be able to connect.
yeah,
So,
exactly. No, 100% agreed. There's just something I kind of like we talked
especially,
about with Rosemary, her gear, the makeup, her entrance is cool, but man, that gear, we were not seeing much of her.
no,
Her
it
makeup is
sucks.
falling off, and it's just it's not
I
a
hate the
look that makes you
tatters. I
say
hate
that's,
the. Yeah,
yeah,
I don't like it. I
it's
don't like it.
distracting.
And like her gear is like got like ring clasps along the bottom. So like it's very distracting. Like it catches the lights and different things like that. I've noticed. Like, listen, I'm not trying to look at anyone's, like trunks or anything, right? But when you have like instead of just being a solid trunk and it's got rings, like as the, that just look, just simple it up a little bit. Switch to a
Yeah.
regular trunk. Just do it.
Mhm.
Or find a look that you can still be in your character, right? If you want, if Sammy Callahan wants to do that hacker gimmick, and I understand, like, okay, if you play the video game Watch Dogs, your hacker's got his shirt, up over his ears, and he's got his hat
Hat
pulled
down.
down low, and he's got his,
I
he's
wish you
wearing
guys
the,
could see what Josh just did.
yeah, well, probably better that they don't. Although the recording program I use does record video, so if I ever feel the need, I can definitely go back and pull that screenshot. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's he kind of looks like a turtle man, but not in a good way.
Yeah. No, dude, I totally agree. It's This is
But
something. And then of course putting these two guys together. And I think the one big thing for their feud is that incident that happened a couple of years ago. Actually, I don't even know how long it was, where
right,
Sammy hit the chair with the bat and it ricocheted and it busted up freaking Eddie Edwards' face.
right.
I don't know if you noticed this, but there was a weird pause in commentary when Josh was discussing that baseball bat chair incident. He started going into it, and then it just got completely cut off. And there was like
There's some dead
20,
time.
30 seconds of silence. Yeah, some dead
Yeah,
time on commentary. And then when he came back from it, they didn't go back to what he was saying. It was just like, all right, move on. So I thought that was really strange. I don't know if it was like some technical issues or if they were like, hey, we don't want to discuss that. But like, if that's not the reason for this feud, then what is? That's
right.
the only
Yeah,
thing that I
I don't
think
know.
about.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe we'll find out more. Maybe we won't. It seems like Sammy this past few months has started stuff and then not been able to finish it, um,
Yeah.
for whatever reason. But like I said, he's a good worker. I wish he
Oh,
presented
absolutely.
himself a little bit differently, but we'll take him how he is, anyways, and we'll still talk about him on this podcast. Um,
There we go. And I do being the positive ones on the show on in the wrestling community, I guess you can
yeah,
say, because there's a lot of negativity there. I do want to say these two have so much chemistry. They have
They do.
great chemistry together. Whether that's from actually, I don't know what their personal lives, I don't know if they actually hate each other or if they're really good friends, but they have a chemistry in there. And by chemistry, I mean those two just beat the absolute hell out of each other.
Yeah.
We see Eddie give the blue thunder bomb to Sammy. Props on him for even getting him up the air and turning him around like that. Like that to me is just,
Yeah.
I don't even understand how gravity allows him to do that. Also, Sammy going in and he gave a power bomb to Eddie, which looked like he was actually going to go into like a power driver or something.
Yeah.
But what comes from that is that Eddie has such great control over his body. Like when he needs to jump, the dude can jump. He can
Oh, yeah.
move that. He's a little heavy set too. He really just is completely underrated. So it was, when it actually came to the action, I didn't think it was a long match. I really enjoyed it because, like I said, those two can really go outside. I can look past, hey, I don't like the way he looks. I don't even like the way Eddie Edwards looks either. I hate those freaking shorts.
Listen,
and I hate
what's funny is
braid.
he's like Boston John Cena, except John Cena is also from Boston. So I can't even say he's Boston John Cena. So, I guess he's more of the Boston character version of John Cena, if you want to go that way. But they're both Massachusetts boys. Right.
Oh no. Damn, now you've
But
completely ruined him for me, thanks.
well, listen, I'm happy to say, and I'll defend John Cena every day of the week. Um, the wrestling industry could use John Cena right now. I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah.
Somebody could. I mean, WWE certainly could. Have you seen their ratings lately? Not great.
No.
But anywho, good match. Sammy Callahan winds up getting the roll up. We didn't even say who won yet. Sammy Callahan gets the roll up because Eddie is distracted by Ken, and so we end that match after a beat down. We move on, but a little bit of Ken Shamrock twisting the ankle again. But we know one thing about Eddie's ankles and their recovery ability is that he can take a ankle lock on Tuesday and it does not matter on Saturday. As we learned leading into Victory Road. So we'll see what happens.
Bionic ankles. And we also know that Ken Shamrock's skips leg day at the gym.
Definitely. We will talk about Ken Shamrock and his skinny calves later. But we will move into, I believe we'll go right into the 6-man tag match, which is a preview of the 6-pack challenge that's happening Saturday for the X Division Championship. We have Willie Mack, TJP, and Trey Miguel versus the team of Chris Bay, Rohit Raju, and Jordan Grace. I thought this was the best match on the card, and it is shorter than I thought it was. It's only 5.5 minutes long. I could have watched it for at least double that, if not triple that, and we might get that on Saturday, and that's probably why they didn't do it that way. But a lot of good action here, Sandy. What'd you like out of this one?
So good. The Jordan spine buster to Willie Mack. Dude,
yes.
TikTok. I got out of my freaking chair on my couch. I was just like, I love her.
Yeah, I audibly said, holy shit, sitting in my computer chair watching it because, man, and you know what? Kudos to Willie for helping out, obviously. Jordan's strong, but Willie's a big boy. So he definitely was helping out with that spine buster to make it look as devastating as it did. And it looked just as good as when she would do it to Tennille Dashwood as when she did it to Willie Mack. And that's a credit to both of them, truthfully.
Dude, it's crazy. For sure. He elevated himself for her, but I actually struggle with spine busters because doing that turn, the person posting on you, they're still putting their weight, like they're jumping up for you, but they're putting their weight on your back. And that, like, to me, man, gravity just wants to pull me to the freaking ground. When somebody does that, my feet, like, do not want to leave the floor. So I have a hard time doing the turn and actually completing the spine buster. So you maybe won't see that in my my moveset. But I was like, holy shit, because Willie Mack is he's a big freaking boy, and I don't care how strong and big Jordan Grace is. That was fucking insane.
No, it was.
Now we have to add the freaking MA or explicit content.
I checked that box anyways, just in case. because I might not even remember saying one. But just in case, we always have that explicit box checked. So nobody report us to Apple Podcasts or anything because we warned you.
Ah, good. There we go.
Yeah, and with that said, and the checkbox is checked, so I'll just go ahead and say, fuck this, fuck that, fuck you, fuck me,
Oh
fuck.
no.
No, I'm just kidding. No, I had to spice it up a little bit. We earned our explicit check.
There we go.
Yeah, right. No, I will say this, and I think you'll agree with me that Jordan Grace's spine buster of Willie Mack is the hashtag Chef's Kiss moment of the night.
Oh
Uh,
my God.
going
Mwah!
running
Yes.
running running away with it. And I also want to say too, I've been often critical of TJP for not selling with his facial expressions and moving. He sold for Jordan Grace,
Oh my gosh, he really did. I did
and
not think he would.
I did not either. And I thought that that's a testament both to how seriously he takes it, and then also how much he respects her and how much all those guys really respect her and her wrestling ability. Because in other worlds, they would probably not sell half as hard for her or any woman for that matter. But hats off to them for really continuing the match structure and making it happen, right? Um, I'm
Absolutely.
excited to see what else Jordan does on Saturday. But
I can't wait.
really good stuff here. Um, I don't have anything negative to say about the match. It didn't last
No.
long enough for them to run out of things to do. Trey Miguel, as always, looked like $1 million. Rahit Raju looked pretty good in spots.
My man
TJP, of course, always, right?
always looks
Um,
great.
so yeah,
He
I
and Chris
mean,
Bay has such great chemistry. Like when those two go
yes,
in there and it's like, holy shit, like sparks just fly everywhere.
yeah. And there was the spot where TJP did his headstand in the corner on the top turnbuckle,
Oh,
and then
yeah.
he went to head scissors Chris Bay, I think it was, and then
Mhm.
Rahit Raju grabbed him by the hands
Yeah.
and they flipped him up and kind of low blowed him with the knees. That was a pretty interesting move there. I don't know that I've seen that, and I don't know that anyone would attempt that besides TJP.
Yeah.
But pretty
It was
solid
awesome.
stuff. Yeah, I mean, really good
Yeah.
stuff all around. That match is really shaping up, I think, to be what is most likely the match of the night, just because there's just, I mean, six awesome wrestlers
And
all
the
at
action
once.
pack.
Yeah, it's going to be blink and you'll miss something good, I think. Um,
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's gonna
but
be so good.
Yeah, and you know what? This next match was a little bit of a disappointment to me here. With our main event, we have the Good Brothers versus the North, and we are both big fans of the North. Both of us for opposite reasons. You for Ethan Page, me for Josh Alexander. Um, but you know, man, I wasn't really into the match, and then it of course ends in a no contest, which I absolutely like. They really don't want to beat the Good Brothers at all, but they also
No.
didn't want to beat the North leading into this match for Saturday. Um, so, it was okay. It had some good spots. I will say, Gallows and Anderson are continuing to work hard. Anderson, tried to one up Jordan Grace with the spine buster. Of course, I don't know that he did in this night. Um, but, nice to see good spine busters, always.
Yeah,
Um,
holy shit.
his spine
The
buster
elevation
is
that he's
beautiful.
able to get on hands. Yeah, oh my gosh. The snap on it. I feel like Jordan Grace's didn't have that snap because I mean, can you blame her? The guy was fucking much larger than she is, but she was still able to
Right.
get the little snappy in there. But yeah, his snap on that turn and that coming down is unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, you put Carl Anderson on the short list for best spine buster, certainly.
For
Um,
sure.
but yeah, I mean, I don't know. It had some good action. Of course, all the tag teams come out afterwards and just start brawling because, hey, this is professional wrestling, and that's how we end our go home shows. What'd you think of
Yeah.
our main event here, Sandy? You got anything to add to it?
No, I felt exactly how you just felt. It wasn't a bad match at all, but we've seen these teams go at it for weeks and weeks and weeks since
Hmm.
Slammiversary. And since we started doing this podcast, I mean, that's pretty much around the time that we started our show.
Right.
And we've seen them, they haven't gone against anyone else. It's only been them. And so we're ready for this blow off. We're ready to either get any chance or just have this feud be over between them. And so this kind of just felt like, oh, here we go, just one more, the North and the Good Brothers. Let's just do this. I wasn't surprised at all when this ended in a no contest. I was not surprised at all that Austin and Fulton and the Motor City Machine Guns came out, and then it's a brawl. Of course, that's what it had to happen, especially when you have this many guys, many teams in one match
Right.
for a couple of titles. Wasn't surprised at all. But like you said, it was just kind of like, all right, let's just we're freaking ready for Bound for Glory, man. Let's go.
Yeah, no, I
That's how
agree
I
with
just
you.
felt.
And it looked like too, and I would call this a little bit of a mild heel turn. But after the Machine Guns helped the Good Brothers clear the ring, the Good Brothers, of course, turned on them, and I believe it was Alex Shelley takes the Magic Killer.
Hmm.
So
No,
no,
Chris
was it
Sabin takes
Sabin?
it.
Okay, so Chris Sabin
Yeah,
takes
yeah,
the Magic Killer. Um, I thought, okay, we've been seeing kind of a babyface tweener out of the Good Brothers, and it looks like they might be a little bit more the Bad Brothers.
yep. That's exactly what we're seeing. So who? I mean, I guess after we go through the preview, we'll get our predictions. What do you
Yep.
think? Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I think that ends that episode. That was the go home episode, and we'll just jump right into um, the Bound for Glory card here, and I'm gonna go in order of what Impact's website list, if that's good with you, Sandy. And
Perfect.
obviously, I think it'll probably, um, wind up. We'll the matches will get more important as we go along. So
Yep.
first up, we have the Call Your Shot Gauntlet match. Two competitors start the match after a time interval, of course. Another will enter the fray. Eliminations occur by throwing your opponent over the top rope. The process continues until there's only two competitors remaining. The final two will compete in a singles match that can be won by pinfall or submission. So we have the first 10 participants announced by Scott D'Amore, and that is going to be Heath, Rhino, Hernandez, AC Romero, Larry D, Tennille Dashwood, Taya Valkyrie, Brian Myers, Tommy Dreamer, and Havoc. And there will be 10 more that we will not know who comes in to be a part of. We already have 3 women announced there. We would probably get 2 more if I had to guess. I think we might not see Alicia just because of storyline that she got taken out by Rhino by the Gore. But we might see like Akira Hogan or Tasha Steelz come in, maybe a Rosemary. You never know. As far as the men go, not sure who else we're going to get here. But I think you probably share a similar sentiment with me here in that it's probably going to be Heath winning. That's kind of my thought.
Correct. That's exactly. I can't see it going any other way.
Yeah, I think when like we've said before, when you put a stipulation on a loser leaves town kind of situation, and that person's still under contract for a while, they're not losing,
Yeah.
or they'll schmozz something else. It doesn't really matter. But I suspect that Heath or Rhino will get the win. I don't suspect Rhino just because he's entering number one. But you know what? I didn't expect Hernandez to win that stipulation, so maybe Rhino gets the last laugh and wins from number one. Who knows?
We'll see. I know they'll have some twists and turns. Hopefully, some things to keep us on our toes and not have it be so predictable. Which, like you said, is kind of hard whenever they do these, ultimatums in pro wrestling, especially when like, hey, this guy's with the company, or this and that. But I think it's a pretty safe bet that we'll see Heath win this one overall. We'll just have to wait to see, how he gets there.
Yeah, yeah. I'm excited for it. I'm a sucker for battle royals in general. Anytime you listen, I'll watch one every single episode of wrestling. I don't care. The more wrestlers, the better. And we'll see if any surprise participants come through. We see in other even AEW has fallen prey to the surprise entry in their Royal Rumble battle royal type thing. So we'll see how it goes.
Maybe our special intro person, Gail Kim, makes an appearance. Who knows?
Oh, maybe that'd be great. If that happens, my money's on Gail Kim. Of course, before we move on, I do want to make sure if you've never, if you're not familiar with the Call Your Shot Gauntlet match, the Call Your Shot goes to the winner, where they get to choose which title they challenge for. So they speculate
Right.
that, if Rhino or Heath wins, they might use the Call Your Shot challenge to challenge for the tag team titles. Or, if one of the women win, if Taya wins, she could call her shot for the Knockouts Championship. And obviously never count out Taya because she's Taya. That's my dark horse. If it's not Heath or Rhino, maybe Taya because I mean, why not?
She can go for the X Division title too.
She could,
Mm.
or she could challenge Rich Swann if Rich Swann wins.
Oh
All
God.
kinds of different things. I'd watch
Yeah.
Taya Valkyrie and Rich Swann, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Little bit.
The next match, and this is I hate to call it a popcorn match, especially since it's the second match on the card, but for me, this is kind of my popcorn match. And
Oh
that's
no.
Eddie Edwards versus Ken Shamrock, accompanied to the ring by the aforementioned Sami Callihan. Um, I don't have much to
Mm.
preview here. It's going to be the shortest match on the card, just because of,
Fingers crossed.
well, yes, I would think because of Ken Shamrock's limited ability at his age, because he's about 100 years old now. And I think I think got some other thing going on with him getting into the Impact Wrestling Hall of Fame. Um,
That's right.
so we'll see what that happens there or when that's going to happen. If it's pre-show, if it's during the show, I don't know. Um, there's rumors that Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, is going to have a video part of it. He said on Twitter that he would do it for Ken Shamrock. So who
Mm.
knows if that was just a ruse to get more eyes on Bound for Glory. Um, Listen, they're both old school workers. They know how to get a gate going. So we'll see what happens. There were some really good matches back in the day between Ken Shamrock and The Rock. So maybe there is a little bit of some camaraderie there. If Dwayne Johnson actually sends in a video to Impact, I may shit myself. But who you got winning this match, and does it matter?
Uh, Joshua.
I know
I have to throw out the full name. Joshua.
you did.
Man, I don't know. Like there's. I want to say like the logical part of me wants to say Eddie Edwards, but like knowing how pro wrestling is, of course, I think maybe Ken, just because Sammy's gonna be there, the whole Hall of Fame thing. They have to get one over, but then we also have to see, okay, where's the storyline actually going? It just started, so
Mhm.
yeah, probably Ken on this one, huh?
Yeah, and unfortunately, I don't think that it ends here, and that's the only reason why I ask if it matters. Not because, I mean, also because it doesn't really matter, but also because it's going to continue the feud, probably
Yeah,
either way, right?
it's one of the
Um,
newest like storylines that we have going into Bound for Glory. Actually, I think because the other ones have been going
yeah,
on just so
it.
long.
I think it is the newest because every other one has been basically like the week after Slammiversary,
Hmm.
and this one's only on week 3 or 4,
Yeah.
whereas we've had about 10 weeks with the other ones. So. When we started this podcast, we kind of already knew who was going to wrestle at Bound for Glory, right?
Yeah.
So that's, but kudos to them for keeping it interesting for this long. It lasted pretty much until the go home show, like we said. Other promotions wouldn't give you that full card basically this far ahead.
Dude, that is literally what I wanted to say, but it slipped my mind. In the very beginning of the show today, we were talking about how we pretty much know where the storyline is going, just because, yeah, they've been doing the pre-tapes and things like that. But hey, you look at WWE, those go-home shows are so important because that's the day, I feel like, when they actually finalize their card and what they're doing for their pay-per-views the following
Right.
day or the day after, whatever the hell it is. So it's crazy. We see these storylines just kind of come and go with them. We just get dropped or new ones start, and then like, oh yeah, we'll just do this for shits and giggles. That's not the case here. We have concrete storylines that have been building up over time, and
Hmm.
to that you can give Impact all of the credit in the world. And if you're a fan listening to the show that maybe just wants to hear the video game aspect of it, we love you. I really do want us to do a lot more concrete gaming sections. But hey, if this gets you into watching Impact Wrestling, maybe that you weren't watching before, hell yeah. I want nothing more than that because I feel like this company really is doing their best to kind of get out of that black hole that they've been on for many, many years. And they are doing everything they can to keep their fans happy, provide good content, not only in action form, but in storyline mode. And I feel like they're very committed to making not just people happy, but to put out a product that they're proud of. And I am proud to be able to watch it and talk about it with you and share it with you guys listening.
Yeah, no,
That is my heartfelt moment of the week.
yeah, ditto. I can't really add to that. So with that, we'll get into what is probably the most interesting match on the card, and that is in an undisclosed location, EC3 versus Moose in the conclusion of the Moose Chronicles.
The Moose Chronicles.
But yeah, I don't know which way this is going to go. I mean, we can speculate about EC3's ROH situation and how he's appeared there. And maybe Moose has to conquer EC3 to bury the past of TNA completely. But I don't know. What do you think? What do you see here, Sandy?
I honestly have no idea. I can see I feel like the interview segment with Moose today, and I forget who was interviewing him. Oh, and Jimmy Jacobs, who was
Yeah.
important in the sense that he wasn't just like, I want my hands on EC3, I want my title back, like he's been doing for the past few Moose Chronicles. He was doing it. He was pretty much just like, almost being like, hey, he's right. Like, what is this? I'm pissed. What's going on?
Yeah.
So I feel like what we're going to see at the end of this is they're going to beat the hell out of each other, whether that's in a, like a match format type of thing, or if we're doing one of those cinematic matches somewhere that we don't know yet. Who knows what the hell is happening? I feel like that part's a little bit irrelevant. I feel like what's going to end up happening is that belt is going to be destroyed. We're going to see a new Moose come out of it. That is my expectation and my hopes. So that we're going to see a different version of Moose. He's going to be disturbed by this. If EC3 ends up leaving, then Moose can kind of go into that, oh, hey, I want to control my narrative. Who am I? I say I'm the wrestling god, but am I really? And maybe he kind of goes into this character where he's distraught and he doesn't really know himself. And then, of course, you see the title being destroyed. That was his identity, being the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, being this wrestling god. And now that was taken away. Now EC3 told you, hey, control your narrative. So maybe we see Moose come back and just completely destroyed and do something new with his character. Because we've kind of seen him do this Moose for many years, if I'm not mistaken. So that could be a good chance for him to explore other outlets of his character. So we'll see.
Yeah. And it's interesting, too, because they haven't, I mean, EC3 hasn't been announced at all to have signed any long-term contract. And, Scott D'Amore made a comment in passing that, there was, Moose is talking about a guy that doesn't work here. So, I mean, you could say, oh, that's part of the skit, but it could be just Scott D'Amore leaving a little bit of truth in there, too. It's very possible EC3 is not actually signed to Impact, and he could be signed to ROH exclusively. We don't really know. So, we'll see. If this is a one and done with EC3, it'd be a hell of a build-up for a one and done. I expect, honestly, I expect Moose to win. But, yeah, like you said, he'll come out a changed man afterwards. Or he'll be invigorated. I think the title's getting destroyed no matter what. I think that thing's done. So, I mean, we'll see.
We shall see. I'm excited about it. I feel like they've done a really good job with the aforementioned Moose Chronicles.
Yeah, I mean, there's been good production quality. I mean, obviously, we know TNA back in the day, of course, gave Matt Hardy the creative freedom to do all the Hardy Compound stuff and do the Broken Universe. So they've got a history here of doing good cinematic stuff. So even though Jeremy Borash is at WWE now, I think that that legacy kind of lives on. I think they'll do okay. So the next match here is the six-way scramble match for the X Division title between TJP, Chris Bay, Trey Miguel, Willie Mack, Jordan Grace, and of course your defending champion, Sandy's favorite, her man, Rohit Raju. Sandy, take us through here.
Oh my gosh, who? No, I want to get your prediction first.
Oh man, you're putting me on the spot. See, that's why I was trying
I knew
to drive this narration into you making the first pick.
it.
Um,
No,
God,
I want them
here's
all to win.
here's the thing, right? I think I'm so conditioned by WWE that when there's multi-man matches, the champion more often than not leaves the belt. They defend.
Yeah.
Because they can, pin someone that's been taken out by somebody else or, fill in the blank, right? Um, I feel like this could be a situation where Jordan Grace gets the title. It would cause a lot of buzz. TJP has worked a lot of New Japan stuff, and he could be getting over there um, as soon, after Bound for Glory. We don't know. He's been on their American program, New Japan Strong. Trey Miguel, obviously a great choice. It'd be interesting to see, what they want to do with the Rascals long term. If they want to keep him a trio, if they want to kind of keep splitting Trey Miguel off. Willie Mack recently had the X Division title, so does Chris Bay. I mean, I'm just gonna go with the house. I'm gonna say Raheat retains.
Oh, I love you. I love you. That's right, my man, Rohit Raju. I'm actually gonna say Jordan Grace.
Yeah, that's who my other person is. Just because she spent a lot of time fighting the haters on Twitter about it, and they definitely. My other thing is like I've been told that when they foreshadow something, it doesn't happen, right? With professional wrestling, she beat Rohit Raju and had the X Division Championship belt around her waist, and I'm conditioned to think that that's not going to happen again.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I lose that programming at some point. I haven't lost it yet, and that's why I'm going Raheat.
Yeah. So I actually, yeah, because we've been so conditioned for so many years, so that's exactly what happened. So I feel like it's like a double psych. Like they want to be like, oh, here's the title on Jordan, psych, you're never gonna see it happen again. It's just
Right.
smoke and
Exactly.
mirrors. But then they're gonna be like, psych, we're doing something new. Here you go, Jordan Grace. So fingers crossed that happens. That'd be really awesome. She could go with a lot of the guys. I mean, one on one, she can go with all of them if need be.
Yeah.
It
No, I was just saying. Yeah.
it
No. Yeah.
Yeah, no, hands down. And if they leave the title on Raheem Raju, there's nothing wrong with that either. He hasn't had it for very long. He can continue to do his, I'm giving out opportunities, I'm doing this and that while still being a little shit about it. And
Yeah.
Scott D'Amore being like, damn it, he keeps getting away with not actually putting the title on the line and making it seem like he's giving out opportunities. So you can build that storyline down the road for someone to actually take it off of him.
Yeah.
So they can go either way. But I think the top two contenders for winning this title would definitely be Jordan Grace and leaving it on my man, Rohit Raju.
Yeah. I mean, my only hesitancy with Raheat is that a lot of competitors will have now failed against him. Right. That's 5 people that they're not going to get
Yeah.
another shot. And so when it's that many people, it's like, But then he could win it back if one of them wins it because he has the champions rematch clause. Or if he does retain, look at the fallout from some of these matches that are happening tonight. If Eric Young, loses and then doesn't win it back from Rich Swann at all, right? And then Eric Young challenges for the X Division. Like I can picture exactly how that happens, and Raju just loses his mind and panics and refuses to wrestle Eric Young until Scott D'Amore makes him. So
Yeah.
I could see some angles coming out of it. They're a little bit longer down the line angles, and it depends on what happens with the rest of this card. But I just think when you do this many people, I just feel like you just go with the house.
Yeah. And I wouldn't be upset.
Right.
I love him.
So this match is listed next on our website, and I hope that this is not necessarily in order of how the card goes. I mentioned this before because I think this should be the sub-main. But this is our Knockouts Championship match. Deonna Purrazzo, the defending Knockouts champion, taking on Kylie Ray. And I'm going to let you talk about this one first because I did the last one, which is a harder one to predict. So
I tricked you.
no, all you.
I think on this one, I've got to give it to Kylie. They've really done a good job at protecting Kylie, keeping her away when they needed, building up that storyline. And yes, in the beginning, it was like, hey, we don't know where Diana is going. We don't know if she's staying. We don't know if she's going, if she's a temporary champion and she's there long term. Now we do know it is long term, so maybe that could have changed plans. But I feel at this point, the company, if they're not ready, they should be ready to put the strap on Kylie. And Kylie can take that women's division to a whole nother level. The matches that she would have with the remaining of the division would be absolute bangers left and right. And I think she's ready. I think this is her like redemption arc coming from, being signed, one of the first women to be signed with AEW to, going on a complete black hole where, she disappeared from wrestling, not knowing that she was going to come back, where she says she retired, where we don't know what personal issues she had, where we didn't know if she was going to wrestle on TV ever again, to coming back and coming with this character that is now strong, that is now willing, that is now not going to be stepped on any longer. And I feel like they've built this storyline fantastic. They protected both women. The video package that they showed tonight, kind of building up to what the match would be at Bound for Glory, was great. The action that they showed with the interaction with these two and with Kimberly's involvement, I thought came off really great. And I am ready to see Kylie Rae as a champion at Impact.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head, right? Kylie Rae is obviously put in the work for this. I'm not going to say, and on the flip side of that, Diana also has put in the work for this.
For sure.
100%. If I look at the future of the Knockouts division, right, and I'm looking, Deonna Purrazzo works a very specific style of match. She's a very technical wrestler. She doesn't have, in my opinion, the raw athletic ability of a Kylie Rae. Where if I'm looking at what do I want to see for the next, however many months until we get the next pay-per-view, right? Do I want to see Deonna Purrazzo trying to wrestle a technical match with Kiera Hogan? Probably not.
No.
I don't want to see her and Kimberly again. We already got that on TV. And then, of course, that's kind of her lackey, for whatever reason. Tasha Steelz, Rosemary maybe at some point, Havoc, Nevaeh. I don't know that any of them can reach the level that Deonna Purrazzo's on. So, in my opinion, Deonna Purrazzo is very tippy top of that division. Right there with her Jordan Grace, right there with her Taya, right there with her Kylie Rae. Those are your four, I think, that are your top of the division. When I think about who can work with everyone, the three that aren't Deonna, I think can work better with more wrestlers. And that's not because Deonna's not good, but because she is really good. Like I can't imagine trying to watch, not that this would be painful, but I can't imagine what the match between Deonna Purrazzo and Tennille Dashwood would look like. Because Deonna works that slow, methodical pace. Tennille Dashwood works the slow pace, kind of, nonchalant thing. Whereas I think just the energy that Kylie Rae brings to the ring, the ability that she has, the build that they've given her, and the fact that we still have Su Yung looming large behind, over all of this, I think Kylie Rae will win the championship at Bound for Glory as well. And I think that after she dispatches of Deonna for the championship's rematch clause, I think we'll start getting into the emergence of Su Yung coming out of the shell of Susie. And I think that would be probably Kylie's first big test. Maybe her second big test as champion is to have to beat her friend Susie, who when she comes back as Su Yung. But we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. Hands down, 100% agreed.
So, but either way, I wouldn't be mad with either one winning. I just want to be clear with that. I just want to see more Kylie Rae matches. I just want to see Kylie as a champion, and I want to see her work matches as the champion and elevate that division because I think she can do it really well.
Absolutely.
And like I said,
Oh yeah.
I would never say anything negative about Deonna Purrazzo. Excellent wrestler, great person. I've mentioned it before on this podcast. She literally, like at an NXT meet and greet, asked if she could pick up my son because she thought he was the cutest thing ever. Um, which I think he is. Um, but yeah, she did. So there's a picture with Connie, my wife, holding Molly, and Deonna Purrazzo holding Nolan, and I think somebody else is in the picture. Some other, I think it might even be, might is it Chelsea Green? It's somebody else is in the picture, not holding anyone. They're just there. So it's like, like, okay, I'm here too. But it's a funny picture. I might find that and post it for you guys to see on Twitter. But really,
Yeah.
I couldn't be more excited for the Knockouts championship match. I really wanted that to be either the main or sub main. It looks like our sub main, however, is going to be the four-way tag team title match between the champion Motor City Machine Guns, the Good Brothers, Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson, the North, Josh Alexander and Ethan Page, and of course, Ace Austin and Madman Fulton. This is I'm not a big fan of four-way tag matches. Not a big fan of triple threat tag matches. Um, it just becomes so muddled and confusing. I don't know if you got the chance to watch AEW this week. Sandy, they had a big tag match, a four-way tag match on that show, and it actually got so chaotic that the referee Rick Knox didn't notice that one of the
I saw
wrestlers
that
was
video.
completely unconscious in the middle of the ring. I think, and that's more on the referee than it is on anything, in my opinion.
That was rough. That was rough to watch. It was literally
Really
like there was
bad
a
clip.
dead body in the match in the middle of the ring. Like,
Right.
hello, it's
Yeah,
clearly
and
not
I
selling
mean,
anymore.
Reynolds was out cold, like bad. And you notice too that the blade pulled him over completely dead weight. Like
Yeah.
he literally pulled him over, and it never got better. And so I worry about the chaos there. I think obviously, I mean, Impact doesn't have Rick Knox. No knock on Rick, he's living his dream. Um, but he misses a lot of shit. Um, I feel like this match could be something that gets off the rails pretty quickly. But if it somehow stays coherent and we can keep track of who's supposed to be in, it could stand to be a good match. But we're not just here for good matches. We're here to preview the card and also give predictions. And I have no idea where to go on this one, Sandy.
This could go literally any way. We've seen them go. We've seen these teams go at it for weeks and weeks at a time against each other individually, all of them at the same time. Oh my gosh, we've seen every single variation of matches between these men for the past few weeks. It's been like, all right, enough. Let's get there. Um, who the hell knows who's going to take the title? I
I
feel like
don't.
this is going to be New Japan style tag matches where the ref is just kind of there waving his arms like, please listen to me. I'm here for a brief and nobody's going to pay attention to them. That doesn't mean it's not going to be a great match. There's going to be a lot of action. There's going to be a lot of crazy moves. They're going to give it their all. This is the big blow off. This is what they've been working towards for so many weeks. So I think it's going to be a great match regardless. But yeah, I have no freaking idea who they're going to give it to. I think it's early for it to be on Fulton and Ace Austin, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I kind of want the titles back on the North, but I actually don't see that happening. Who the freaking hell knows? I have no idea. This is going to be a shock to me no matter what happens.
Yeah, and I'm trying to figure out too, right? Um, New Japan Pro Wrestling, it's funny you mentioned that they are running their World Tag League tournament in the next month. So I'm trying to think, we kind of have some inside baseball that Gallows and Anderson may or may not be allowed to also work Japan. They haven't announced anyone for that New Japan World Tag League. I would think if they're able to, New Japan would bring in Gallows and Anderson for that to get more eyeballs on World Tag League. So if I'm speculating correctly, and many people know that I speculate wildly wrong all the time, But if I speculate correctly, I think Gallows and Anderson will probably be in Japan next month because New Japan is able to bring. There's some rule where employers can bring over their employees as long as they quarantine for 2 weeks. Then they're good to go.
Oh
So,
shit! I didn't even think about the precautions for COVID. I was just like, oh, you know what? It doesn't matter if they're a chance for Impact. They can still go out there and make it to the last round, semi last round, whatever the hell it is for New Japan, and still be strong.
yeah. So I mean, who knows, right? I mean, I don't think they would win World Tag League if they did go over there because New Japan's not going to send them back to Impact with the New Japan Pro Wrestling tag belts.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, I hate to say that I'm going to bet on the house money again, but I think I have to just because we saw the North be the tag champs forever in a row. And then the Motor City Machine Guns have been awesome since they came back. I look at some of the other tag teams that they have in that division. The Rascals probably match up best with those guys. But, if I had to pick, I'm going to go with them. I'm going to go with Motor City Machine Guns, but I'm very not confident about it.
Yeah. I mean, they can pull a complete upset and have Ace Austin and Fulton win. They've been hanging up there with the rest of them. I feel just like as a tag team, it's still not the right time, but they could just be like, let's do it. And I mean, they can go
Yeah,
can't they go with the Rat? Fulton's just so freaking big. I have no idea. They can go either
yeah.
way.
It just really depends, and their tag division outside of these four teams is pretty light and numbers, right? Because outside of this, you got Reno Scum that are not participating. You have Team Triple XL, of course, with Larry D and AC Romero. You have the Deaners, which I mean, those are three teams that are not ready yet to be
No.
champions. And then you got Heath and Rhino. I don't know what's going to happen there. I don't necessarily want to see them with the tag belts in 2020. Um, so that'd be like making Tommy Dreamer my personal best friend, the World Heavyweight Champion in 2020. Which God bless him, and I'm sure I'll get a message for this because he likes to message me or has once. Um, that yeah, it's just not going to happen. I'm worried about the tag division long term and Impact, just because this is their four best teams all in one match, with the exception of the Rascals. um, so we'll see
You
what
know what,
happens.
Josh? Impact, they need a little bit of the gifted Logan Cruz and Wheezy T to really
Yeah.
spice up that taxing division. Oh no, did you hear that?
So that noise was not a deranged hurt animal. That was actually Logan Cruz, um, who was a part of the tag team, The Gifted, that you can see on Tampa Bay Pro Wrestling. And I think that also some other shows too, right, Sandy? We'll do
Oh
a quick
hell
plug
yeah.
there. Punk Pro Wrestling, right? They were on there as well.
On pro wrestling. I mean, pretty much any promotion in Florida, you name it. Sweetwater Pro, they're going to be there. Man, they're everywhere, and they have a huge future ahead of them. And I
Yeah,
really,
they're
hey, you know what? I'm honestly not just blowing smoke up his ass because I
because
live
he's
with
in the
him.
room and he's listening to you record this
He's
podcast
there,
right now.
but honestly, he's just so incredibly talented. And hey, so is Wheezy. His suavecito. What's it freaking called? I don't know. Suave, Wheezy, tag partner Wheezy T. Man, these two can really go. And they actually have a ladder match coming up soon. I can post some details about that on our account so you guys can check it
Yeah,
out.
for
If you're
sure.
local, maybe you can go see it or on YouTube. But hey, Impact Wrestling, they are great unsigned talent. You definitely want to check them out. The Gifted out of Florida.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
that's my
And
plug for the evening.
there you go. That's our plug. Right in the middle of our preview for Bound for Glory. But you know what? No time like the present, right, Sandy? It was there. It
Right.
was and you're right. They do need some new tag team talent.
Hey,
Um, so hey, listen, you never know. Keep working. I mean, a couple of kids. They're just youngsters. They'll figure it out.
kids. Yeah.
So with that, we'll come up to our what I presume is our main event for Bound for Glory, which will be, of course, the inspirational, overcoming all obstacles, Rich Swann taking on the maniac Eric Young, who is your Impact World Champion. So, a lot of build up for this one. A story that
So much.
has been told since Slammiversary, when Eric
Since
Young
the
was
end
the
of time.
right.
I was literally
Um,
just about to say.
since Rich Swann eliminated Eric Young in the multi-man elimination match for the Impact World Championship belt back at Slammiversary. So yeah, they had this match planned before they did their Slammiversary Championship match, which is incredibly long-term storytelling, which we don't get a lot from in wrestling these days. So I'm gonna let you talk through this with your thoughts first, Sandy. What are you thinking here as we talk about the main event of Bound for Glory?
Oh man, this is another one where I really, yes, I've been building up the story for such a long time, and I feel like it would be, I mean, would it be fantastic if Rich Swann won? I don't know. I think maybe I'm just in the minority of like seeing, you know, Eric Young just caused so much freaking chaos as soon as he came to Impact. That why stop it now? Or maybe it's just a temporary stop where Rich Swann is able to say, "Hey, screw you, I'm back. This is mine," and then they'll go at it again for a little while. Because yeah, the feud's been going on since anniversary. Since you said they planned it from before then, but Rich Swann has been away on that injury. So if he takes it back and EY is still fighting for that title after Rich Swann wins this Saturday, they can have more matches together and kind of build that storyline even further. So that could work.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I think that's what's gonna happen. I just told myself what's gonna happen. I just analyzed the storyline right then and there. I'm like, yeah, that sounds about right. What do you think?
Right. So when I think about main events of shows, right, and I've talked about preconditioning as a wrestling fan of what we are expected to expect. When you have a promotion's biggest show of the year, and we heard this if you listen to the Conrad Thompson podcast, and when he talks to all these different guys, they always told you the number one plan going into WrestleMania always was Hogan must pose at the end, right? Because it was that iconic moment at the end. The good triumphs of the evil. Your ending shot is the 70,000 fans on their feet screaming for your champion. But now I'm here in 2020, and there's no fans in the audience for Impact's biggest show. Rich Swann is not to the popularity levels,
He's
even in his
he's
own
not.
promotion,
No.
to Hulk Hogan or any of the other baby faces that have posed at the end of WrestleMania. I think that Rich Swann, on the verge of winning, will have something go wrong with his ankle, and Eric Young will get the win with a
How?
pile driver. I, I, I think Eric Young has been a better champion, I think, even than they expected. I think there's no reason to
Oh
get a
yeah.
big, huge, pop-worthy babyface championship win here with no fans. If this was March and we've had 2 months, 3 months of a vaccine, and there's fans in the audience, and you got 5, 7,000 people on the cheering this on, this is Rich Swann all day, every day. But for
But you know
me,
what? Even so, he's still not that big of a baby
he's
face in the company
no,
to give that good feel moment, you know? I
no,
feel people
I,
be
I
like,
agree with
oh
that.
yeah, he beats
Yeah,
all odds, but all right.
right. And who knows how that build up would have played out in front of fans.
Yeah.
But for me, I think Eric Young's going to retain. I don't know who his next challenger will be. Um, but on the flip side of that, I wouldn't know who Rich Swann's next challenger would be either. Um, but they'll build someone up, whoever that may be, to be the next huge baby face to come and take out Eric Young. That's who I. I just don't think that Rich Swann is a big enough of a character to conquer what has been proven to be a villain that is just unbeatable so far. Um,
Yeah,
so I
a
think there's
monster. They're building up like such a monster, as they should. He's been killing it with that.
right, and they've talked about how he feels no pain and all this, and maybe after Moose vanquishes EC3, he decides that he's going to take on Eric Young. And so there's options, right? You know, I just think if you make Rich Swann the champion, you probably have more challengers that make sense, but it doesn't necessarily mean for better matches. So we'll see what happens. You're going Rich Swann, and I'm going Eric Young. So we'll see what happens. But
No, because I initially wanted to say EY, but then I'm like, wait,
you talked
no.
yourself into Rich Swann.
I did. I like overanalyzed it, but like my heart says EY. I'm going EY. Damn it, Josh.
Oh, she's flip-flopped. She's a real flip-flopper. No,
Oh
I'm kidding.
no.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. There's the presidential debate was tonight, so I had to get in my campaign rhetoric here, and jump at you. But
Oh, Lord.
anywho, that wraps up Impact for the week here. Really, a lot of exciting stuff. I'm excited for Bound for Glory. I know you're excited for Bound for Glory. My kids are excited for you to be over, not so much for Bound for Glory. But it is what it is.
Dude, I'm gonna be your new freaking nanny. They're gonna love me, and I'm gonna love them so much.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say that's not possible, right? So we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens here. But with that said, we're done there. We're going to move into, as we teased at the beginning, with our little skit, if you will, about.
So I know that's not the news anchor music you were expecting, because that's not what we see on TV now, but I feel like that was the anchor music from freaking Maniac Mansion. It just came back to me. I was like, why did I immediately go into I'm like, what is this from? It's from Maniac Mansion. It's my favorite game of all freaking time. But yeah, when they do the... Oh, wait, was it? No. Shit. It was something like that. Damn it. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's something like that. And, maybe I'll make a note here to future Josh to throw in a news music backtrack here. So future Josh, figure that out if you don't stay up until 3 a.m. doing it. But future Josh, also go to bed. That's I'm going to tell future Josh to do that. But let's talk about video game news here, Sandy. We have a couple of news items that we're going to get through, and then you have a follow-up report on our episode from last week. But first, I am going to point out that they have started filming the Uncharted movie, starring Tom Holland and, of course, Marky Mark himself, Mark Wahlberg, and Antonio Banderas, who has not... Yeah, I know, big cast here. It's directed by Ruben Fleischer. Ruben, of course, famous for directing the Venom movie most recently. And then also he directed the Zombieland movies. So interesting director choice, interesting cast choice. Of course, it's hard to see Tom Holland as anything but Spider-Man. And I don't know if you've seen these set photos yet, Sandy. I'm actually gonna...
I did.
Okay, you did. Okay, so you saw Tom Holland looks pretty much like Nathan Drake there. I mean, his hair's a little bit lighter, but I think it looks pretty good so far from the set photos we've seen.
He looks fantastic. I am such a huge Tom Holland fan. He is adorable. He can do no wrong in my eyes. And I feel like he just brings such energy to any role that he is in. He is fully committed. He seems very excited about this project. And I personally have not played Uncharted before because it is a PlayStation Sony exclusive, which, as you guys have kind of heard in previous episodes, I'm not the biggest Sony fan just because they keep dissing on Nintendo, and then they have the audacity to copy Nintendo. Let's not get started on that because I'll get real salty and really heated
Yeah,
up.
we'll probably have to do a special episode talking about the late 90s and the console wars, which really weren't a thing in the mid 90s because Nintendo and Sega eventually kind of stopped competing with each other and kind of just started both doing their own thing. And then Sony came along, which of course we know they came along and made their own thing because they had a partnership with Nintendo that fell apart. But like I said, that's a huge other thing that we can get into at another time. Now, I noticed that you said, Sandy, that you were super excited for Tom Holland to be a part of this picture because of all the excitement that he brings. I noticed you did not say that about Mark Wahlberg.
What was the last notable movie that Mark Wahlberg was in? I don't remember.
So he did the voice of the Blue Falcon in the recently released animated feature Scoob.
All right. Are you fucking kidding me right now?
No, I'm not. And I will say this. I have seen Scoob. As the listeners know, I have a 4-year-old and a 3-year-old. And there is a part in it where a character has to like sacrifice themselves, and we had so much crying because when you're 4 and 3, you don't know that like nothing's gonna happen to the main characters, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my goodness. The amount of times I said, just keep watching the movie, just big tears. But yeah, I mean, before that, he was in Instant Family, which nobody watched. Daddy's Home 2, less people watched that than Daddy's Home 1. I mean, and then of course, just random, day movies, Patriots Day, Deepwater Horizon, all the different things. And then, Transformers: The Last Night was the last probably big picture that he was in. But he's been doing a lot of producing, and he's kind of stepped away from acting more so to producing. And he's done a lot of stuff with HBO. He produced Ballers with Dwayne Johnson, Entourage. Of course, he is the executive producer on the reality TV show Wahlburgers about his brother's restaurant chain.
Well, so nothing is the answer to my previous question.
Right. So I guess what I'm getting at is I can understand why you didn't say that about Mark Wahlberg, while you said that about Tom Holland. But I do have one question before we move on, Sandy. Have you ever eaten at a Wahlburgers?
I have not. Have you?
I have. So I ate at one with my family.
Orlando, right?
So I didn't eat at the Orlando one. I actually ate at one in Boston because Mark Wahlberg, in case you didn't know, is of course from Boston, Massachusetts. Technically speaking, he's from a town called Dorchester, and Dorchester is my Boston family, if they listen to this, are going to be furious if I get this wrong. I believe Dorchester is off of the red line if you take it from the city center. But to my family, if I got that wrong, I apologize because my dad's extended family is all in Massachusetts. No, Wahlburgers is kind of your standard joint. Went there. We were on vacation with my in-laws, so my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, and my father-in-law's all-time favorite television show is Blue Bloods, which stars Donnie Wahlberg. And so the entire time we were there, he kept asking why there was no stuff, no posters or anything of Donnie Wahlberg. And he kept referring to the restaurant as Donnie's Place, which of course is not factual. And he went as far as to ask our waitress how many times Donnie Wahlberg had been into the restaurant, to which she answered 0.
Oh,
0 times.
God.
And then I said the follow-up.
Disappointment.
I said, but Mark has been here a lot, right? She goes, oh yeah, we see Mark, probably once a month. like because he just would go in for a beer or whatever, say hi to the staff, uh, that kind of thing, right? And you know, it's not even Mark's restaurant. I think Mark kind of probably started pay, he kind of bankrolled it,
Tons of
but
money. Yeah.
their brother Paul is the chef that runs
Uh,
Wahlburgers. Um, Mark, like I said, I think financed it, and then Donnie has pretty much nothing to do with it, um,
you get the
because
discount, 20% off.
right, he's Donnie Wahlberg, and that's probably more about Donnie Wahlberg than I ever expected to come up on this podcast, especially when we started off talking about the Uncharted movie, which looks great and
Agreed.
will be in theaters hopefully next year. Hopefully, theaters it's always right now especially it's a real touchy thing.
Yeah.
Regal shut down completely. We'll see if AMC sticks around or if we have to see what else happens. It's really a sad thing right now for the movie industry. Um,
I love the movie.
I do too. I'll go to movies by myself
Me too.
still. Like I'll just go and sit there and watch a movie, leave the wife and kids at home, because it kind of gives me like 2.5 3 hours of quiet, and I can
Mm.
just kind of sit there and enjoy the picture. Obviously, you can't do that now. It's getting harder to watch movies, so hopefully we get ourselves out of this soon, and we can get on with our movie watching lives.
I hope so too.
So I'm going to take you back real quick to 1990, Sandy. 1990, a game
Well,
comes out in
I was
Japan.
1 year
For
old.
I was 0 years old. Um, so going back
I'm
all the
older than
way,
you?
I mean, I thought we knew this. I think it's pretty established. Um,
Damn it, Josh. No.
no, you
Oh,
listen, you look way younger than me, so it doesn't really matter.
thank you. Pull the
But
Kylie.
yeah, you did that works great in an audio medium. But um, that's like the third time we've done that today. We got to get away from
I
that.
know.
But you know what? It's making us have more fun, and I think that makes the listeners have
Yeah,
more fun too, right? It's
I
like that
think so
cliche podcast thing where people do visual humor for the podcast listeners. Um,
too.
but so 1990, a game comes out on the Famicom in Japan, and it's a game called Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon and the Blade of Light. This is a game that features characters like Prince Marth and Roy that we see in a game way later, in I believe 1998. No, 2000 maybe, when we see Super Smash Bros. Melee on the GameCube. We are introduced in North America to Marth and Roy for the first time. What is interesting is that now, for some reason, Nintendo has decided they're going to give us a localization and English translation of the original Fire Emblem game on the Nintendo Switch eShop, and it's releasing on December 4th.
Whoa. So I actually, Josh, had no idea that the first time we were introduced to those characters was back in the first Super Smash Brothers. I thought maybe something else came out before it to kind of give us that introduction, but it was just kind of like blindly like, hey, these are Fire Emblem characters from this Japan game that you guys haven't seen before, and here they are. Is that kind of what
Yeah,
happened?
yeah. So Super Smash Bros. Melee, which is our second entry in the Smash Bros.
Ah,
Series, which released in 2001, is the first time that we see Marth and Roy in North America. The Fire Emblem series, I believe, no, I don't want to enable dictation. I hit a wrong key on my keyboard, sorry. The Fire Emblem series first makes its appearance um, on the Game Boy Advance,
mm.
and it does not include Marth and Roy. Um, it has, what is her name? I believe she's a playable character now in North America, or in the Smash Brothers games. But let me see here.
I'm so
It,
bad at her
it,
name. All I remember it was like when the amiibo came out and we're collecting. So I've been playing Smash Brothers, of course, since the very first one, Melee, and when the amiibo craze started happening, I got suckered into that like you wouldn't freaking believe. Like I was out calling stores, I was out camping, I was out harassing people to hold them for me because they were so freaking collectible.
yeah,
Anything collectible Nintendo, like I am there for. So even though I wasn't too into the Fire Emblem series, I was like, I need to have my original Super Smash Brothers amiibo collection, and I need it now.
Yeah.
And freaking Marth was like the hardest one to get, and I cheated for him, and I ended up getting one from like Amazon UK. Like it was that intense. I'm actually kind of ashamed. I'm kind of embarrassed. Don't let Logan just laughed at me.
That's okay. I mean, he doesn't understand how things were. I mean, you had to really try to
Yes,
get stuff back in the day. Like it was
dude,
difficult. It
those
was
were
difficult.
hard. Yeah, so I'm proud to say I have my full amiibo collection for the original ones. But never again. That was freaking stressful.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Colleen has gotten into trying to find amiibo cards, and
Oh, I'm so
yeah,
happy I did
it's
not get into that.
yeah. I'm be happy for yourself. But yeah, no. So the original Fire Emblem game that we get in the United States isn't until 2003, and the protagonist of that game, there's three of them. That's Lynn, Elliewood, and Hector. So completely nothing to do with Marth and Roy that we
No,
see in the Super Smash Brothers Melee. So for the first time, we are going to see. At least Marth. I don't know if Roy, I believe Roy is in Fire Emblem, Shadow Dragon, and the Blade of Light. But we are definitely going to be seeing Marth for the first time here in North America in the original game. And that's going to be pretty awesome. Um, Considering this is, of course, a game that, you know, we're talking released in April of 1990. So,
that is absolutely crazy. And they're doing, from what I read here, that it's going to do that weird limited time digital release, right? That we've
mhm,
seen with the anniversary of Super Mario, which, I mean, when you think about titles from Nintendo, they are so, oh man, when it comes to their titles that no one else can have, they're able to get away with doing these weird sales strategies and tactics to kind of get the audience kind of buzzing for it when they say it's limited time, limited availability, even though it's a freaking digital copy. Like
right.
there's no limit to digital. But they are so good at pulling this off because I don't think any other gaming company in the world has been able to capitalize on these exclusivity titles and events more like Nintendo has their entire freaking career almost. It's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah, I mean, and we've talked about this before, obviously, with Super Mario 3D All Stars. We've talked about, um, all this other stuff, and it actually, so they're going to release, and this is true. This is kind of cool. So for 5.99, $6, you can get the digital version of the original. It's just a localization of the original game. Or at retail, you can pay 49.99 for the same game. And you might be thinking, well, why would I pay $50 when I can pay six? And the reason why is it comes with a quote unquote nostalgic stylized physical NES box and a replica NES game pack art piece with a protective sleeve. If you don't know what the NES game pack cartridges were a weird kind of Pop-Tart shape, and they had these little black sleeves that you could keep the games in. And so I'm assuming that that's what it's talking about. And it also comes with a 222-page Legacy of Arcania deluxe hardbound art book and a game download code. So the game itself will still be a digital copy that you download on the Switch. I can imagine that it's going to be a very big game because it's an NES game that's just
Yeah.
localized and translated. But it also actually comes out with a fold-out world map, also, just like the old school games would come with, and then
Oh,
and it comes with a NES instruction manual for the game, but
oh my
localized.
gosh.
So
If I
it's
was a fan of Fire Emblem, like to that level, like hands down, that is a pre-order purchase. I'm
oh,
a
big time,
sucker for shit
big
like
time,
that.
big time. And I'm
Yes.
not the biggest Fire Emblem guy. I've played a few of them. I
Mm.
really enjoy the strategy aspect of it. It's very similar to if you ever played like Final Fantasy Tactics, where you
Or
have that
Golden Sun.
Golden Sun's the same way.
Yeah.
Famicom Wars, which was later redone as Advance Wars on the Game Boy Advance, similar thing. And actually, Fire Emblem came from, I believe, the same people that made Famicom Wars with the strategy, kind of, building up your army, move this, move that. And Fire Emblem was also like and really kind of almost remains the only game where if you lose a character on the battlefield, and you don't bring them back in that same fight, they're gone for good. So you don't get them back. So they have permanent character death in Fire Emblem, which if you were like me and in 2003 when you picked it up for the Game Boy Advance, you had no idea what the hell was going on, and you go to the next thing, you're like, "Where's that guy? What happened to him?"
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
I just killed my main guy.
right. They're gone for good. Now, if a main character died, it would kind of end it. Like that was a game over. So
Mm.
if you were like, and you can get into these big huge battles in Fire Emblem that take a long time, and then you make one bad mistake with your main character, like you hit someone that has a better counter than you thought was going to happen, and
Oh,
you didn't kill them, or your double strike didn't work. Boy, were you furious. I had to put that game down sometimes and come back hours later. It was pretty rough.
I am just not a great RPG gamer. Like when it comes to figuring out that battle tactics, you really do have to put some thought into it and be like, all right, what is my defense? What is my strategy? What are my attacks? What items do I have? That actually takes a lot of effort in being able to really kind of get the hang and calculate who you should be using, what you should be doing. And to me, like the only game that I've actually really loved and played all the way through when it came to that was Golden Sun, and that
Yeah.
game kicked my ass. I still have it, and I'll still play it, and I'll still get stuck in parts. I'm like, holy shit, these games are hard, but they're so rewarding just because the storylines for them, especially being a Nintendo and a Japanese game, they put so much thought and effort into making that storyline.
Oh
It
yeah.
makes sense, and it really sucks you in. And I feel like I need to revisit Fire Emblem. I know the one that I bought to kind of introduce me into the game was the one they released on the 3DS. So it was a few years ago. It wasn't the oldest one. It's not the newest one either, I don't think. But
No,
I
there was one
have.
that released on the Switch.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
So I feel like I need to revisit that. But that's crazy that a game from 1990 is making its first appearance here in freaking America. And I feel
Yeah.
like it's a great strategy. It's like, yeah, if you want to check it out, only $6 on the Switch, go for it. If you've been a fan since you've been introduced to them back in Smash Brothers in the early 2000s, and you've been a committed fan, here's all these goodies that Nintendo has for you.
Right.
And I don't know, were you ever a part of Club Nintendo when
I
they
was
started?
not. I was a Nintendo. I was subscribed to Nintendo Power as a child. That was kind of
Oh,
like my big thing. Like I would beg my parents, like, please subscribe me to this. Please subscribe me to this. And it was like something like 12 or 13 issues, right? Because they throw in the extra one just because
mm,
you get 13 issues for $30 or whatever it was. And I was like, please, I'll mow the lawn, I'll do whatever, right? And then my mom had this thing about not letting us mow the lawn when we were children because she thought we were going to cut our feet off. So she would just do it, right? But
oh,
yeah,
totally
it
would have been
was,
a.
yeah, it would have been
No, but I
interesting.
can't believe you were on Club Nintendo. So it was a free rewards program. So every time that you bought a Nintendo game, it came with a little, on the cartridge, it came with a little slip that gave you this code, and you would enter that code and you would get points for every game that you purchased. So it's a completely free program. And the goodies that they would have, I mean, it's still going on today, but they got rid
Right,
of
yeah,
the
yeah, I have
physical.
it now. Yeah, I have it
Yeah,
now. It's not as good.
no, the physical rewards back then, Josh. I can't tell you how many freaking posters I have of Nintendo. Like oh my gosh, it was the happiest, and this is in my early 20s, like late teens. I'm still getting geeked out about getting a package from freaking Nintendo headquarters, and it's just all these posters and CDs and goodies, and like, oh, I miss those physical rewards so much. So
Oh
I
yeah.
know it means a lot for Fire Emblem fans to be able to get the opportunity. Hey, if you pay whatever you pay, $50, but you get just anything made by Nintendo when it comes to the world map, the book, all those things are so personal, especially if you're such a big fan of the game. And I think that's really special. I'm glad that they're doing that for those fans. I personally won't be buying it because I'm really not that into Fire Emblem, but I'm excited for those fans that are.
Yeah, I'm not that super into it, but I'm kind of tempted just for all the extras, the nostalgic, goodies, the NES stuff. the world map fold out. Now that's all stuff really cool to me. Now, I mean, you and I both used to work at a big box retailer. Did you ever try and jack the posters when the store was done with them? Because I did a lot.
Oh, dude, for sure. But
Okay,
I
all
didn't
right.
have seniority, and there was like some major dorks and gamers and geeks in my store, so a lot of them like would get seniority with me. Even though I actually
Yeah,
started in the gaming department when I first started working there in my early 20s, I was like, I need to work in the gaming department, so that was like my shit. So for a while there, I did get first dibs, but then when I moved over to a different department, it got a little bit harder. But oh, for sure.
so when I was there, gaming was a part of what they called like media, right? So there was
Oh
like
yeah.
CDs, movies, video games, all were the same people, MP3 players, etc. And I worked in computers. You can probably put together where we worked, and we worked actually at the same store. So I'm sure the same people that would take all the posters when I was there were the same people that would take all the posters when you were there. Um, but I would be like, hey, listen, this one came out on my birthday, so you need to give me this one. And I think I wound up getting my buddy, and I think he still has it. I'll have to ask him. I gave my buddy a Star Ocean when that released for PS3. Star Ocean came out on PS3, and I got like a big poster stanchion thing for it. Um,
Oh.
yeah, and I used to work at a sandwich shop chain, and I would take all the old menus and keep them. And then I also had a giant cutout, and I mean giant cutout, life size, of Jared, the Subway spokesman, holding up a pair of pants. It was literally like Jared holding up a pair of pants over to the side to show how much weight he had lost, and it was about 6 feet tall. And
But
I just,
why?
well, I don't know, I worked there, and they didn't want it anymore, so I just took it because I figured I could play some pranks. And at one point, I did sneak it into my house and into my parents' room in the middle of the night. So when they woke up, they saw Jared standing over their bed. Um,
That's amazing.
that didn't go over well. Um,
See, I wouldn't have taken that. Like, I only took like Nintendo shit, and I still have some of it. Like, I used to get all the cutouts and the standings for the game, and I used to have this
yeah,
like one house that I lived in by myself, and my decorations were just like those cardboard stands.
yeah. Well, I feel like if you were taking Nintendo stuff, you probably had to fight Burgess for it, and that was probably not gonna go over too well. Um,
Yeah, yeah, it
so,
was rough.
but anyways, we have a couple other things that we're going to talk about here. Um, and this is a full disclaimer. This is not any sort of political endorsement. This is not any uh, saying to do this or do that. But gaming recently has been used as a vehicle to kind of encourage people to vote, to get it more engaged with politics in general. And that was Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and she got on Twitch and played Among Us. Now, it's been noted in the past that AOC is a kind of an old school gamer. She plays a lot of League of Legends. I have a friend that is a diehard about League of Legends, and so I like when she would tweet about stuff with League of Legends, people would ask her questions, and I would like ask my buddy who literally to this day all he plays is League of Legends, and it's hours a day still. I
Yeah,
literally say like, "Hey, is what she's saying like, does she know what she's talking about?" And he's like, yeah, surprisingly so. Like,
that's
so
awesome.
we know that AOC is a gamer. We know that, she's one of the youngest members of Congress, if not the youngest member of Congress. And she constantly is trying
31.
to, right? So she's constantly, what are we doing, Sandy? Jesus. Um,
I know, right? God, she's the same age as me.
yeah, we have a podcast that gets 150 downloads if we're lucky, and she's serving in the United States Congress, but whatever. Um,
Damn it.
Yeah, I know, right? And actually, with one event, she completely dwarfs our entire download history. She goes on Twitch and plays Among Us with a couple other members of Congress, and then also some popular streamers. She was on there with, of course, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar out of Minnesota, and a couple other streamers, and they had a viewer count of 435,000 people watching them play Among Us and also trying to get people to go and vote. So I'm excited about this from
Oh yeah.
a using gaming in a positive light, and B, it's refreshing to see politicians. And obviously, we know AOC is not your typical politician. Obviously, she works as a waitress and She knows what working people go through and things like that. Um, and it seems to be more down to earth than some of the other ones that have been in Congress for 50 years. Um, but to see people engaging constituents and engaging people on a very real level and encouraging voting while also appealing to their interests, I would say that of those 435,000, I would say not all of them are people that follow her political views either. But I think this is a really cool
Absolutely.
thing, really awesome uh, to get some eyes on a pretty cool game. You and I have discussed this. We haven't played it, but we might have to now that sitting members of Congress are playing it. But I
Oh
don't know.
yeah.
I mean, what are your thoughts on this, Sandy?
So I think it's really interesting. I was reading that, the concurrent viewers that she had, that makes her stream one of the 20 most watched streams in Twitch history. So this isn't just like, oh, that day she had really good viewership. Like, no, like in Twitch history. And I think that's pretty amazing. This
Yeah,
isn't really about what your political party is, what your beliefs are. What the main purpose of this was, hey, it doesn't matter who you're voting for. Get out there and exercise your right as a citizen to vote. And that is the important thing that she was doing here. And you know what? The big takeaway for me is I remember being a gamer when I was younger. I've been a gamer since I was 3 years old and I had the NES. It's
yeah,
been it's
same.
been a long time. And since Columbine, since the tragedy that happened at Columbine so many years ago, it was I can't even remember, like early 2000s, late 90s, mid 90s when
I
this
want to say
happened.
that
And
was 98 or 99. I
late
can't remember
90s, yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so when that happened, the first thing was, okay, who can we blame for this? Who can we point the fingers to? And the first victims of that were, okay, no, not victims, because of course we don't want to get into that, but
Right.
the first fingers that were pointed at, it's like, hey, violent shooting video games. And it's like, no, video games actually make us, it doesn't do that to us. Video games are not the cause for mass shooters. So back
Right.
then, we had this big stigma on gaming, that it was bad, that your kids shouldn't play video games, that no parent should be letting their kids have access to these types of games because it's going to turn them into shooters, it's going to turn them into criminals, it's going to turn them into sinners, this and that. The
Right.
religion
Yeah.
community came in, and it was just like I remember my grandmother didn't want me playing video games for a while after that happened, and that was a real thing. And I was like, no, I'm playing Nintendo games here. Please let me play my cute little video games.
Yeah. Listen. Okay. I
But
promise I won't jump on any turtles at school. Okay. Like.
I promise I won't throw bananas at other people while I'm pretending to, I don't know, whatever. But this is really cool to see. She understands. She's a millennial like us. She's 31 years old. She says, "Hey, we need one of the people that one of the main groups in our country that they're not voting out there are younger people.
Yeah.
Millennials and Generation C. We have a vote as soon as we turn 18. We have the right to vote." And like I said before, it doesn't matter who you vote for, just exercising that right to vote. It's so important to show that we are the ones who get to decide how the future of our country goes, and not someone else making those decisions for us. So as long as we can get people to turn out and vote, that is the important part there. And I feel like that is what they accomplished here by reaching a huge part of that community through their Twitch stream, and also getting eyes on Among Us, which brings us, I guess, to the next topic. This game that you and I have not played. I literally just found out before I got on this call. I thought this game was brand new, but apparently it's been out for a couple years now. I had no idea. I don't even know how
Yeah.
this game became so popular. All I know is that all over Facebook and Twitter, I just see people talk about it, and I was like, what the hell is Among Us? So we got to play this game, Josh.
Yeah. We got to. Yeah. I mean, it's on iOS. It's on. It's on. I think everything. Um. But yeah. I mean, Among Us. You can go on the iOS store and actually you can get a free version of it. So.
It's only like
Definitely.
$5.
It's free on iOS. So.
Oh, shit.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, obviously, it's probably a little bit of a different gameplay feel. But yeah, I mean, definitely, we might have to play it this next week, Sandy, and then, uh,
Yeah.
my soon-to-be brother-in-law, he plays it. So we'll maybe Saturday he'll give us some tips before we start watching Bound for Glory. We might have to get into some Among Us. Um,
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
So, but the last thing we want to leave you with, we always want to make sure that if you guys are looking for something to play, that you know the best place to get them, the best sales going on. And so for this week, we're going to highlight Epic Games has a Halloween sale going on right now. If you're not familiar with the Epic Games Store, definitely check it out. A lot of really good titles on here. Of course, if you didn't get the chance to play Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which I paid full price for that game, which kind of stinks because it got on sale like immediately, as does a lot of EA Star Wars games, right? But Fallen Order right now is 50% off at $29.99 on there. You got Borderlands 3 is on sale for $29.99 on there. And also, really good game. I may have mentioned it briefly on the podcast before, but especially if you're looking for that spooky, kind of psychological, almost horror thriller game, the game Control, the Ultimate Edition of that is on sale for just $28 on the Epic Games Store. I can't recommend that game enough. I think it did win the Polygon Shooter Game of the Year when it came out in 2019. So definitely check out that game. Tons of other stuff. Grand Theft Auto 5 is $15. The new game it's new now to a whole new audience because it released on Switch. But Hades is definitely a game to check out on there. That's on sale for $20. So tons of really good stuff.
Death Stranding. Did you ever play Death Stranding?
I didn't play that one. I saw that's on the sale too.
Yeah, 30% off. Normally 60, it's down to $41.99. My friend David, who is a huge wrestling fan, video game fan, MMA fan. I mean, this guy's brain holds all the information. Like, I wish I could sit down with him and just pick his brain because, man, he is knowledgeable. And he really enjoyed this game. He had some not complaints, but he had some things about it that weren't perfect, but he overall really enjoyed this game and actually might be picking this one up. It has Norman Reedus. This is one of the big Kojima production games that were teased for a while at E3, and God, I think it was delayed for a while and nobody knew what the hell was really going on with it, and it was finally out, and I don't think it lived to the hype that it had behind it, especially with such a big name of Norman Reedus being the actor of it and being a brand new IP. Brand new IPs in video games, they're so hard for them to take off because, I mean, if the story, if something just isn't clicking with the audience, it's very hard for them to be successful. That's why I am such a fan of new IPs that are able to try something new. And even though it's risky, even though it's not a safe bet to say, hey, you know what, this is a known game, people are going to buy this because it's known. I really do admire whenever they try to put a new idea out and try their luck, their fate, and see how it goes. And I feel like that's what Kojima did with Death Stranding. So I actually do want to check that one out myself.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it was unbelievably hyped, and people waited a long time for it. Yeah, I mean, mixed reviews. I have a couple of friends that absolutely love it, and have played it for hours and hours and hours. I never picked it up because I didn't want to pay full price for it. I seldom do that unless it's something that really jumps out at me. So I might have to check it out. But I just to point out a couple of games because they've been mentioned previously on the podcast. The Telltale Batman series is on sale for $22.49. And then also a game that you've brought up as one of your favorites, Thimbleweed Park, is on sale for $7.99. So 60% off on that one.
Yes, that is made by Ron Gilbert, if I'm not mistaken, who made Maniac Mansion. So it's that point-and-click adventure game. Definitely check it out. It gives you some laughs. I freaking love that type of game titles.
Right.
And also, as you mentioned, Telltale Games. The Wolf Among Us is on there on sale for just $11.24. That game was a beautiful game. So I think this is the one that came out after their successful The Walking Dead series, which is also on here on sale. So if you haven't played it, definitely check that one out. It is such a great story. The graphics on it are absolutely beautiful. Telltale Games here, this is the prime with The Walking Dead, the Batman series, The Wolf Among Us being a brand new story. Definitely check it out.
Yeah, and I'll point out too, since we are coming up on Halloween, that the RPG Costume Quest is on sale there for $2.49. It's a pretty fun one, and then I believe they actually have for a limited time here on Epic Games um, the Costume Quest 2, so the sequel, is actually free now through October 29th. So for $2.50, you can get two pretty good cartoon style Halloween based RPGs. So that being said, that hits kind of all the news items that we wanted to cover. We talked a lot about Impact Wrestling. And this is really important, Sandy. We did not have internet issues this week.
Oh, I am so sorry, you guys, for our last episode. It may have been a little bit of a struggle. Hopefully, you guys didn't notice too much. Josh put a lot of work and effort into making sure that episode sounded as clean as it possibly could. We were just struggling, both Josh and I, with our internet connection. Damn you, Spectrum Networks.
Yeah, I think
But it looks like today has been a smooth stream.
Yeah, super smooth, no lagging. We're talking back and forth as if we're in the same room, which is like kind of shocking. And I know I'm probably hey, knock on wood as we're wrapping up here that we don't cut out and have to do some things. But yeah, listen, I'm not a sound engineer. I'm not a podcast engineer by any stretch of the imagination. We do this for fun. And we're happy to do it each week because I think honestly we just enjoy talking to each other anyways about wrestling. And the fact that any of you would listen it makes it that much better. So we're going to make sure it sounds as good as possible for everyone involved.
Oh my
So,
gosh, yeah.
but hopefully I can edit this one a lot quicker.
I think so. I think it'll be smooth, Josh.
I think I could just plug and play our audio track here. This is the first time I haven't had to stop our audio track and have to mesh together two audio tracks. This is one continuous audio track, which is awesome. So
This is like my favorite episode.
it's been pretty fun. It's been pretty good. We've had some great conversation. We hope you enjoy it. Definitely make sure that you check out our back catalog. I'm going to start saying that we have a back catalog now because, listen, we got 10 episodes already in the can. This is episode number 11. Definitely go back and check us out. And then also, I mean, we got great topics. We've talked about Zelda. We've talked about Tony Hawk, point and click adventures. Go back and listen to those. And then also,
speaking of the back catalog, Josh, if you want me jumping in here, I have some stuff to get off my chest. So you guys, Josh is like, oh no, she's gonna quit. This is it, our 11th and last episode.
It was a fun 11. No, it was.
No, so speaking of the back catalog, Josh, our last episode we discussed about Resident Evil.
Oh yes, of course. I teased this up front and I forgot all about it. Please continue.
How dare you? So we talked about like pretty in depth about Resident Evil, the beginnings, the cultural impact, all the games, the good, the bad, what we actually played, what we didn't play. I haven't played a lot of it, to be honest. I played a little bit. I was actually really big chicken growing up playing those horror games. And
sure.
I'm an only child. I'm pretty introverted. So when it came to video games, it was my outlet just because I was not a very social girl growing up. And so to me, video games were the way that I interacted and the way that I played. Because I didn't really like to go to other people's houses and just be too social. So, I mean, you think introvert, you think, oh, they play video games. And that's exactly what it was. And being an only child, of course. So I listened back to the episode and I was like, oh my gosh, when I was talking about Resident Evil, I remember just talking back on the games that I had actually played. And most of them I didn't even get to finish just because I was so scared. And I felt like I needed to have another person there with me to help me through the game. So that was one aspect of it. And also, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I was actually in that, I don't know if it's a majority or minority of people that when they play Resident Evil, they think, oh, it's the same story over and over where there's a zombie type of outbreak and then you just shoot zombies and then that's it.
Right.
So I actually want to say I fell into that category whether it's the minority or majority. But listen, after I actually felt like one of the people that listen to this podcast, what we try to do is make sure that people, check out Impact or check out these video games that we love or don't check out the video games that we hate.
Right.
I kind of caught myself as a listener. It's you know what? Maybe I need to get more into Resident Evil. And that's what I did. So I actually found a super fan online that spent over a decade putting this mythology for Resident Evil together. And holy shit, Josh, I don't know if you've checked it out before, but I wanted to know like the chronological order of all the video games, and not just the video games, but the order of the events that happen. So to me, that lore is so important when I fall in love with a video game, and
Yeah.
that's why Zelda has captivated me because man, there's so many tiny details that make up this larger storyline of
Mhm.
everything that happens throughout the years and throughout these video games. So that's what I did with Resident Evil, and I don't have the link on me right now, but if you do a quick Google search, you can easily find it. This super fan got tired of people like me that were just like, oh, this is just a dumb zombie game and it's just boo and scary and then that's it, there's no story. Man, was I wrong. He put up thousands of pages online. Like I said, it took over a decade for him to put together, breaking down the exact timeline. Not only that, but he was able to give details on every single villain, every single character, every single weapon. You know, the weapons, he was able to say, okay, this is the name, this is what it does, this is its weakness, this is its power, this is who it's effective against, this is who it's not effective against, like
Right.
detailed. And I spent an ungodly amount of hours reading this shit. I kid you not. Like, it was as soon as I woke up, when I laid down to go to bed, in the middle of the day while I was working, like, I was
Oh
reading
no.
this nonstop. Like, I went into a freaking dark hole of Resident Evil. And let me tell you, anyone who thinks there's no storyline there, completely wrong. This game is freaking involved, and I am so glad I took the time to really get into and learn the storyline and go more just above, you know, playing the game and just kind of reading the little diaries and the notes that they put on there for you. The makers of the game put so much effort into providing those details for us to kind of piece the puzzle together, and I never really did that with that game. So I feel like I made my redemption as a Resident Evil kind of fan from
There you
before,
go.
and now I'm like fully invested. So not only that, but I went back and I finished Resident Evil 7.
Nice. Very
So I'm
nice.
all caught up. And of course, I watched the Village trailer, so I'm very excited. Hopefully, you guys saw it when we mentioned it last week. Chris Redfield makes a return, as we saw in the trailer. And spoilers, don't listen to this if you haven't seen the trailer. But you saw the trailer, right, Josh?
I did, yeah.
He shoots Mia in the face right in front of Ethan Winters.
Yeah, I mean it's bonkers.
He saved them. Oh, you gotta play Resident Evil 7. I forgot. You haven't watched it yet.
No, no,
Oh,
it's
you
still
haven't.
I'm not, you can't spoil me on seven. It's okay.
Oh, okay. You have to play though. That game is absolutely just beautiful. Like once I played it all the way through, I had some problems getting through freaking Marjorie when she turns into this giant spider beetle, crazy infected thing. Like she just completely whooped my ass. I had to get Logan to help me because I don't like being chased. So to me, like that's one of the big things. Like in real life,
I
if I go
got
to
sure.
like Universal Studios for horror nights and somebody's chasing me, like I am freaking out of there. I run so fast. I hate the feeling of being chased. So that was so huge for me. Why I didn't freaking like that game and I had to stop to begin with. But
Sure.
I beat it through. I beat it. I know the storyline. I'm all caught up. You guys, Resident Evil freaking rules, and I'm like number one fan. And I have to continue reading this man's decade-long journey into writing the whole mythology.
Well, and you're gonna have to go back now, Sandy, and play, the 30 games that came before Resident Evil
Oh
7
my
too.
God, I want to. I want to so bad. I don't know how to get my hands on them. I have the Resident Evil 2 remake, which I have to go back and beat because I quit after Tyrant after
Yeah.
Tyrant freaking started chasing me, and I can't fucking handle being chased, Josh.
Yeah, yeah, Nemesis and 3 was like just that wasn't a game feature that I really enjoyed about that game. Um, but the remake looks awesome. I mean, we talked about this obviously last week, but definitely, if you didn't finish, and not just if you didn't finish Resident Evil, if you got games out there that you didn't finish, go back and finish them. Complete
I
the
have so
task.
many.
Yeah, I know,
I
me
have
too.
so
I'm
many
bad
on
about
my
it.
360 that are still in the wrapping, like the plastic thing, and I didn't even get to open the case. Like I had terrible game ADD back then, so hopefully I can go back and revisit some games.
I'm sure that you will, and I'm sure that I will probably at some point finish some other ones. Um, you know, I'm still plugging along when I can on Final Fantasy 14. That's what I played this week. So nothing new to report there. Still plugging along. Week two, maybe week three now on it. I'll report something new. I'll play something else for next week, I'm sure. Next week, of course, will be our quote unquote go home podcast for Halloween. So we might have a special game topic to discuss with you guys. And then, of course, we'll talk about what happens at Bound for Glory and, of course, the fallout of next week's impact from that. But that said, this is, of course, the 8-Bit Suplex on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Make sure you do go and check out our entire family of shows, including Keeping It Strong Style, the ASA Podcast, One Nation Radio, the Ricky and Clive Wrestling Show, All Things Elite, the Grave Consequences Podcast, and Grown Men Watch This Shit is also back.
I
So
love that name.
yeah, it's pretty good, and you know what? And they cover things that the rest of us don't cover. So I think they came back with the Noah tournament that's happening right now. So definitely go check them out. Check out our tee store on prowrestlingtees.com/social suplex. Check us out on social media. At Twitter, we are at 8-Bit Suplex. Sandy is at Sailor Zelda. And then on Instagram, you're at Sandy Gaviria, right?
Correct. I need to change that. I need help though, but we'll talk about that later.
Oh, don't ask me. Anything outside of Facebook, I basically suck at. I am almost a boomer when it comes to social media, but I'm a little bit better. I'm a little bit better. I am
You're doing
still.
great.
Thanks. But yeah, definitely check us out. I'm on Twitter at Laughlin_Joshua because when I made the handle, I didn't know what I was doing. So my full last name, McLaughlin, is not on there. I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter. And then, yeah, I'm on Instagram. I think it's maybe at JMacPP5, which is a reference to high school baseball at the end of JMac there. Because I made it back in high school when I was playing high school baseball. So that being said, I got nothing else to say. Sandy, you got anything else you want to add?
Check out The Gifted online. I don't know their social media handles, but like I said, they are up and coming. Keep your eyes on them. If you Google them on YouTube. If you try to find them on YouTube, they have lots of matches on there. Definitely check them out. Like I said, Impact, if you're listening, they are non-contracted tag team pro wrestlers, and they're great.
There you
and
go.
Liana de los Santos, she's making her re-debut coming soon. We'll see.
Listen, whenever that happens, I'll be there.
Yay!
And it'll be a lot of fun. And, signing off as always. Make sure to tip your waiters and waitresses, especially in these pandemic times.
That is the most random thing I've heard out of this 11 episode project we have going on. But
listen,
I
it
love
just
it.
hit me, man. I feel like waiters and waitresses right now they're really stressed.
Yes.
They got people breathing around them and coughing around them,
Oh.
and so listen. Even if the service isn't what you expect it to be, but really you shouldn't expect anything. Tip. Make sure that because listen, man, especially now they're not getting that extra. They're not getting that extra unemployment now or whatever if they get laid off. So let's just make sure that we're taking care of people. All right. Wear your mask. Wash your hands. Wash your ass, as James likes to say. And just take care of everyone. Right. So without further ado, I'm Josh.
I'm Sandy. Thank you guys so much for listening and tuning in. Can't wait to talk to you guys next week. And as always, if you want to hear a specific game topic, reach out to us. Shoot us a DM, shoot us a tweet, whatever you want to do, shoot us an email. We are here for you. And if you want to hear us talk about a video game that you love, whether we've played it or not, hey, we'll play it for you. Just let us know.
Yeah, as long as that game won't cost us $60 to play it for the episode.
I'll sacrifice.
Well, that's a commitment Sandy's willing to make because she doesn't have children, at least not that I know of. So without further
Do not.
ado,
No.
yeah, right. Who would have children? Uh, anyways, whew. Um, yeah, I know. Again, another visual gag for the listeners at home as we're signing off.
Thank
Sandy was, of course, pointing at me. But this is probably our longest sign off yet, and I'm going to end it right
Oh my
now.
God.
So, good night, everybody.
Good night.